The vanished city of Karakoto. Imagine walking through endless dunes where the wind carries whispers of a forgotten age. The sand shifts beneath your feet, and suddenly, emerging from centuries of burial, crumbling walls rise before you like the bones of some ancient giant. These are not natural formations carved by desert winds, but the remnants of a once mighty fortress city. Gates that once welcomed merchants and armies now stand empty, their wooden doors long since claimed by time. This is Karakoto, the Black City, where an entire civilization vanished without explanation, leaving behind only questions that echo through the desert silence. You stand at the edge of one of history's most perplexing mysteries. Here, in the heart of the Gobi Desert, archaeologists have uncovered evidence of a thriving metropolis that was abandoned so suddenly that its inhabitants left behind priceless treasures, sacred texts, and personal belongings, as if expecting to return within days, yet they never did. What force could compel an entire population to flee their homes so quickly that they abandoned gold, silk, and irreplaceable manuscripts to the merciless desert? The answer remains hidden beneath layers of sand and time. Historical context. To understand the mystery of Karakoto, we must first journey back to the 13th century, when this fortress city stood as a vital stronghold along the legendary Silk Road. The Western Xia dynasty, also known as the Tangut Empire, had established this settlement as a crucial military and commercial outpost during their golden age of expansion. The Tanguts were a sophisticated people who had developed their own unique written script, constructed impressive irrigation systems that defied the desert's harsh conditions, and maintained extensive trade networks that stretched from the imperial courts of China to the bustling markets of Central Asia. Karakoto served as far more than just another trading post along the ancient routes. It was a vibrant, multicultural hub where Buddhist monks meticulously copied sacred texts in candlelit scriptorium. Merchants from distant lands exchanged exotic goods in crowded marketplaces, and seasoned military commanders coordinated the defense of the empire's vulnerable western frontier. The city's strategic position allowed it to control access to vital water sources and treacherous mountain passes, making it an essential link in the chain of fortified settlements that facilitated trade between the civilizations of East and West. The Western Xia dynasty itself was remarkable for its extraordinary cultural achievements and political sophistication. The Tanguts had created a unique synthesis of Chinese administrative practices, Tibetan Buddhist spirituality, and Central Asian military traditions, producing distinctive art, literature, and architectural styles that were entirely their own. Historical records from neighboring kingdoms consistently describe them as skilled warriors, astute diplomats, and innovative engineers who managed to maintain their hard-won independence for nearly 2 centuries, despite pressure from more powerful neighbors. The sudden abandonment of such a strategically important and well-fortified city would have represented a catastrophic and inexplicable loss for any civilization of that era. Discovery. The modern rediscovery of Karakoto reads like an adventure novel from the golden age of exploration in the early 20th century. In 1908, Russian explorer and archaeologist Pyotr Kozlov was leading an ambitious scientific expedition across the vast expanse of the Gobi Desert when experienced local Mongolian guides led him to what they reverently called the Black City. What Kozlov found upon reaching this remote location defied all reasonable expectations for an archaeological site that had been abandoned and buried for over 600 years. Unlike most ancient ruins that have been systematically stripped bare by centuries of scavenging and natural weathering, Karakoto had preserved an extraordinary and virtually untouched snapshot of medieval life in all its complexity. The extremely dry desert climate had naturally mummified organic materials throughout the site, creating preservation conditions remarkably similar to those found in the most famous Egyptian tombs. Kozlov and his team discovered entire rooms filled with silk textiles that still retain their original vibrant colors, intricately carved wooden artifacts that showed no signs of decay or insect damage, and thousands of paper documents that remained perfectly legible after centuries of burial beneath the shifting sands. The most remarkable and scientifically significant discoveries came from what appeared to be an extensive Buddhist monastery complex located within the city's massive defensive walls. Here, Kozlov uncovered an incredible treasure trove of thousands upon thousands of manuscripts written in multiple scripts, including classical Chinese, Tibetan, and the mysterious Tangut language that scholars were only beginning to decipher. Among the priceless treasures were exquisite silk paintings depicting religious scenes, finely crafted bronze Buddha statues, and delicate ceramic vessels that demonstrated the remarkably high level of artistic achievement reached by the city's talented inhabitants. Perhaps most intriguingly and mysteriously, Kozlov found compelling evidence throughout the site that the abandonment had been sudden, unexpected, and apparently unplanned. Personal belongings lay scattered, exactly as if their owners had simply stepped out for a moment and never returned. Cooking pots still contained the charred remains of meals that were never finished. Storage rooms held valuable goods and precious materials that would never have been deliberately left behind in any planned evacuation. But what really happened here to cause such a hasty departure? Theories. What could cause an entire fortified city to empty overnight, leaving behind treasures representing generations of accumulated wealth? Historians and archaeologists have proposed numerous theories, each attempting to explain this puzzling abandonment through different lenses of human experience and natural catastrophe. The most widely accepted theory points to the Mongol conquest of the Western Xia dynasty in 1227. Genghis Khan had launched a systematic campaign against the Tanguts, destroying their cities and eliminating resistance. Perhaps Kara, Koto's inhabitants, received advance warning of an approaching Mongol army and chose to flee rather than face certain death or slavery. However, this military explanation raises troubling questions. Why would experienced defenders abandon such a well-fortified position without attempting defense? Archaeological evidence shows no battle damage to walls or buildings. If Mongols had besieged the city, there would surely be evidence of destruction or hastily buried bodies. A second theory focuses on environmental catastrophe. Climate researchers have identified periods of severe drought affecting Central Asia during the 13th century. Perhaps Kara, Koto's water sources suddenly failed, making the city uninhabitable. Yet archaeological evidence suggests the water systems were functioning normally at abandonment. Could there be another explanation? Some researchers propose that epidemic disease may have played a role, while others point to supernatural beliefs in local folklore. Mongolian legends speak of cities that angered desert spirits and were cursed to vanish beneath the sands. Each theory attempts to solve the puzzle, but none fully explains the complete absence of bodies or battle damage. Scientific investigations. Modern scientific methods have brought new analytical tools to the mystery of Karakoto, yet fundamental questions remain unanswered. Archaeological teams using ground-penetrating radar have mapped the complete underground layout, revealing structures still buried beneath accumulated sand. These surveys show only a small fraction has been excavated, with vast residential and commercial districts remaining hidden. Carbon dating of organic materials has confirmed the abandonment occurred between 1225 and 1230, aligning with the Mongol conquest timeframe. However, dating limitations cannot determine whether evacuation happened over days, weeks, or months, making it difficult to distinguish between competing theories. Paleoclimatologists have analyzed ice cores and tree rings to reconstruct 13th century environmental conditions. Their research identified periods of unusual weather, including droughts and wet seasons, that could have disrupted agricultural systems. However, none appears severe enough to force complete abandonment, of such a well-established settlement. Chemical analysis of artifacts reveals fascinating details about daily life. Residue analysis shows inhabitants maintained varied diets, including grains, vegetables, and meat. Textile analysis reveals trade connections spanning thousands of miles, with silk from China, wool from Central Asia, and exotic dyes from distant regions. Most puzzling, comprehensive soil analysis has revealed no evidence of mass burials expected if disease or violence caused widespread death. This absence of archaeological evidence has thoroughly puzzled researchers who anticipated finding traces of whatever catastrophe befell the city. Modern challenges. Today, Kara, Koto's ruins, face new threats, complicating efforts to solve the ancient mystery. Climate change is altering weather patterns across the Gobi Desert, bringing more frequent severe sandstorms that bury sites and damage exposed structures. Rising temperatures and changing precipitation threaten to destroy organic artifacts that survived 7 centuries under stable conditions. Large-scale mining operations pose another significant challenge. Companies extracting rare earth minerals require extensive infrastructure that can damage archaeological sites. Vibrations from machinery and groundwater changes threaten to destabilize ruins and contaminate the archaeological record. Tourism presents a double-edged challenge. While increased interest brings funding for conservation, visitor presence causes wear on fragile structures. International politics also complicate research, as the site lies in a region where multiple nations have competing interests, requiring complex permits and diplomatic arrangements. Perhaps most concerning is the loss of traditional knowledge. Elderly Mongolian herders, whose families lived in the region for generations, possess oral histories that may contain clues about the abandonment. As communities modernize and younger generations migrate to cities, this irreplaceable cultural knowledge disappears faster than researchers can document it. The challenge of preserving digital records has become increasingly important as excavations produce vast amounts of data requiring sophisticated database management and backup systems to ensure long-term access for future researchers. Closing reflections. Standing among the weathered walls and crumbling towers of Karakoto today, one cannot escape the profound and haunting sense of interrupted lives, abandoned dreams, and stories left forever untold. The desert wind that once carried the familiar sounds of merchants haggling in crowded marketplaces and children playing in dusty streets now whispers only through empty doorways and slowly collapsing towers. Each grain of sand that settles in these ancient rooms adds yet another layer to the enduring mystery, gradually burying precious evidence that might one day finally reveal the truth about what happened here 7 centuries ago. The Black City fundamentally challenges our most basic assumptions about how great civilizations meet their end. We naturally expect to find clear evidence of dramatic military battles, obvious natural disasters, or gradual economic decline leading to slow abandonment. Instead, Karakoto presents us with something far more unsettling and psychologically disturbing: the distinct possibility that sometimes entire communities can simply choose to walk away from everything they have painstakingly built over generations, leaving future civilizations to wonder endlessly about their motivations and ultimate fate. Perhaps the greatest and most profound mystery is not what specific event or circumstance caused the abandonment, but rather what the disappearance of Karakoto reveals about fundamental aspects of human nature itself. In our hyper-connected modern world, where every significant event is immediately documented and shared globally, it seems almost impossible to imagine an entire city disappearing without leaving detailed written records of the event and its causes. Yet Karakoto serves as a powerful reminder that even the most sophisticated and literate civilizations can vanish in ways that completely defy rational explanation, leaving behind only tantalizing fragments of their complex story for us to piece together as best we can. The incredible treasures that Pyotr Kozlov discovered during his groundbreaking 1908 expedition continue to yield new insights and revelations as scientific methods advance and our understanding deepens. Yet for every important question that gets definitively answered through careful research, several new mysteries seem to emerge from the evidence. The more we learn about the daily life, culture, and achievements of Karakoto, the more complex and utterly puzzling its sudden abandonment becomes. In the end, the Black City may be teaching us something profound and humbling about the inherent limits of historical knowledge and human understanding. Not every question from our shared past can be definitively answered, no matter how sophisticated our research methods become. And perhaps some enduring mysteries are actually more valuable to us as unsolved puzzles than as explained events with neat conclusions. What do you believe could cause an entire thriving city to vanish so completely and mysteriously? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and subscribe for more explorations of history's most enduring and fascinating mysteries. The sands of time may hide countless secrets beneath their shifting surface, but our endless human curiosity ensures that their stories remain vibrantly alive. The singing sands phenomenon. Imagine standing atop a towering sand dune under the vast expanse of an endless desert sky. The silence so profound you can hear your own heartbeat. The golden grains shimmer beneath your feet, stretching endlessly toward distant horizons. Then, without warning, the ground beneath you begins to vibrate with an otherworldly resonance. The sand itself starts to sing, producing haunting musical tones that rise and fall like the voices of an invisible choir. You are experiencing one of nature's most enigmatic mysteries, the singing sands of the Gobi Desert. The Kongorin Els dunes produce deep, resonant hums that can be heard for miles across the barren landscape, creating an ethereal symphony that seems to emerge from the very heart of the earth. Ancient Mongolian herders believed these haunting sounds were the voices of buried dragons, forever trapped beneath the shifting sand. Modern science has brought sophisticated instruments and decades of research to bear on this puzzle, yet the singing dunes continue to guard their secrets. Why do only certain dunes produce these mysterious musical tones, while countless others remain forever silent? Historical context. The phenomenon of singing sands has captured human imagination for millennia, with references appearing in ancient civilizations across multiple continents. Chinese travelers along the Silk Road documented encounters with musical dunes as early as the Han Dynasty, describing the sounds as supernatural voices that could guide lost caravans or warn of impending sandstorms. Arab merchants crossing the Sahara wrote of sands that moaned like wounded spirits, while Persian poets composed verses about deserts that sang lullabies to weary travelers. In the Gobi Desert, the Kongorin Els dunes have held special significance for Mongolian nomadic cultures for over 1,000 years. These massive formations, rising nearly 300 feet above the desert floor and stretching for over 60 miles, were considered sacred sites where physical and spiritual worlds intersected. Traditional shamanic beliefs held that the singing sounds represented communications from ancestral spirits who had become one with the desert landscape. The Mongolian name for these formations translates roughly to the singing dunes, and local folklore attributes the phenomenon to ancient dragons that once ruled the skies above the Gobi. According to legend, these mighty creatures were buried alive during a great cosmic battle, their massive bodies creating the towering dunes. The haunting sounds that emerge from the sand are said to be the dragons' eternal songs of sorrow, mourning their lost dominion over the heavens. European explorers who ventured into these remote regions during medieval times brought back tales of supernatural desert music that were initially dismissed as fantasies of men driven mad by heat and isolation. However, as more witnesses reported similar experiences across different continents and cultures, scholars began to recognize these accounts described a genuine natural phenomenon demanding scientific investigation. Discovery. The systematic scientific study of singing sands began during the late 19th century, when European and American explorers, equipped with recording equipment, ventured into the world's great deserts. In 1898, British geologist Arthur Douglas Corkill became one of the first researchers to make detailed observations of the Congarine Els dunes, documenting both the acoustic properties of the sand and the specific environmental conditions that triggered the singing phenomenon. Corkill's expeditions revealed that singing occurred most frequently during temperature transitions, particularly in late afternoon when sun-heated sand began cooling, or in early morning when moisture levels were lowest. He noted sounds ranging from low, organ-like drones that could be felt as much as heard, to higher-pitched whistles and harmonics that seemed to dance above fundamental tones. His recordings on primitive wax cylinders captured acoustic signatures that would puzzle scientists for generations. During the 1920s and 30s, international research expeditions focused on acoustic phenomena in desert environments. French acoustician Marcel Brillouin led a comprehensive study in 1927, using early electronic recording equipment to capture sound frequencies beyond human hearing range. His research revealed that singing sands produced complex harmonic structures with multiple overlapping frequencies, suggesting sophisticated acoustic resonance mechanisms within the sand itself. The breakthrough came in 1954, when American physicist John Reynolds conducted the first controlled experiments to artificially trigger the singing phenomenon. By disturbing sand surfaces in specific patterns and monitoring acoustic output, Reynolds demonstrated that sounds were directly related to sand grain movement under precise conditions of moisture, temperature, and grain size. However, his findings raised as many questions as answers, as identical conditions in other dune systems often failed to produce sounds. What made discoveries more intriguing was the realization that singing sands existed worldwide, each with different acoustic characteristics. Similar phenomena had been documented in the Sahara Desert, California's Mojave Desert, beaches in Scotland and Wales, and locations in Australia and Chile. Yet despite extensive research, scientists struggled to identify the precise combination of factors distinguishing singing sands from silent counterparts. Theories. The mystery of why only certain sand dunes produce musical tones has generated numerous theories over the past century, ranging from straightforward mechanical explanations to exotic possibilities involving quantum physics and electromagnetic phenomena. Each proposed solution has contributed pieces to the puzzle, yet none has provided a complete answer that accounts for all observed characteristics. The most widely accepted scientific theory focuses on physical properties of individual sand grains and their interactions during movement. Researchers discovered that singing sands typically consist of extremely pure silica particles that are remarkably uniform in size, usually ranging between 1/10 and 1/2 millimeter in diameter. These grains are also unusually well-rounded and polished, likely from thousands of years of wind erosion. When these perfectly shaped particles slide against each other under specific conditions, they create synchronized vibrations that can resonate through entire dune structures. However, this mechanical explanation faces challenges when confronted with real-world observations. Laboratory experiments have reproduced some aspects using prepared sand samples, but artificially generated sounds lack the complexity and volume of natural singing dunes. More puzzling still, researchers have found dunes composed of virtually identical sand that remain completely silent, suggesting grain characteristics alone cannot account for musical properties. A second major theory proposes that singing requires specific environmental conditions, creating acoustic resonance within dune structures themselves. This hypothesis suggests certain dunes develop internal air chambers or density variations that act like musical instruments, amplifying small sounds produced by sliding sand grains into powerful tones heard for miles. Proponents point to seismic studies, showing singing dunes often have complex internal structures with layers of different sand densities. Environmental scientists have proposed that electromagnetic fields generated by static electricity might play crucial roles in the singing process. As trillions of sand grains rub together during dune movement, they generate significant electrostatic charges that could influence particle interactions and vibrations. Some speculate certain dunes might develop electromagnetic properties, enhancing acoustic resonance. Could there be an even more mysterious explanation within quantum mechanics? A small group of theoretical physicists has proposed that singing sands might involve quantum coherence effects occurring within silica grain crystalline structures. While highly controversial and unproven, this offers potential explanation for why the phenomenon is so rare and difficult to replicate artificially. Scientific investigations. Modern scientific investigations have employed sophisticated technologies, from high-speed cameras and laser interferometry to seismic monitoring equipment and computer modeling systems. Despite these advanced tools, researchers continue grappling with fundamental questions about mechanisms responsible for transforming simple sand grain movements into complex acoustic phenomena heard across vast distances. Acoustic analysis using sensitive microphones and spectrum analyzers has revealed that singing dunes produce sounds with remarkably consistent fundamental frequencies, typically ranging between 50 and 300 Hz. These primary tones are often accompanied by complex harmonics and overtones that create the rich, musical quality described by observers throughout history. Each singing dune seems to have its own characteristic acoustic signature, with some producing deep, organ-like drones, while others generate higher-pitched whistles or warbling melodies. High-speed photography and microscopic analysis have provided unprecedented insights into individual sand grain behavior during singing events. These studies reveal the acoustic phenomenon occurs when sand layers begin sliding down steep dune faces, with millions of particles moving in synchronized waves propagating through entire structures. The process appears self-organizing, with small disturbances triggering larger avalanches that can sustain musical tones for several minutes. Seismic monitoring equipment deployed within and around singing dunes has detected low-frequency vibrations traveling through the ground for considerable distances, suggesting the phenomenon involves much more than simple surface acoustic waves. These subsurface vibrations often precede audible singing by several seconds, indicating processes begin deep within dune structures before manifesting as surface sounds. Computer modeling efforts have attempted to simulate the phenomenon using sophisticated algorithms accounting for grain-to-grain interactions, fluid dynamics, and acoustic resonance effects. While these models have reproduced some observed behavior aspects, they consistently fail to capture the full complexity and intensity of natural singing events. The computational challenges are enormous, as accurately modeling interactions between billions of individual sand grains requires processing power exceeding current technological capabilities. Recent research has begun exploring potential connections between singing sands and broader patterns of self-organization in complex systems. Some scientists suggest the phenomenon might represent emergent behavior, where simple local interactions between sand grains give rise to complex global patterns unpredictable from individual component properties. Modern challenges. The singing sands of the Gobi Desert and similar phenomena worldwide face unprecedented threats in the 21st century, as human activities and climate change disrupt the delicate environmental conditions necessary for these acoustic mysteries to persist. Understanding and preserving these unique natural phenomena has become increasingly urgent as researchers race against time to document their characteristics before they potentially disappear forever. Climate change poses perhaps the most significant long-term threat to singing dunes globally. Rising temperatures are altering precipitation patterns and wind dynamics in desert regions, potentially disrupting the precise environmental conditions maintaining acoustic properties of these formations. Changes in humidity levels, temperature fluctuations, and seasonal weather patterns could fundamentally alter sand grain behavior, either silencing currently active dunes or potentially activating new ones in unpredictable locations. Tourism and recreational activities present immediate challenges for preservation. The increasing popularity of desert adventure tourism has brought thousands of visitors to previously remote dune systems, with activities like sandboarding and off-road vehicle expeditions potentially damaging delicate surface structures necessary for sound production. Even seemingly harmless activities like hiking can compact sand surfaces in ways that disrupt the loose, unstable conditions required for acoustic activity. Industrial development and resource extraction pose serious threats to singing dune ecosystem integrity. Mining operations, oil and gas exploration, and renewable energy installations can alter local wind patterns, introduce foreign materials into pristine sand systems, and generate noise pollution, making it difficult to study and appreciate natural acoustic phenomena. Infrastructure construction can fragment dune systems and disrupt large-scale environmental processes, maintaining their unique characteristics. Scientific research itself presents ethical and practical dilemmas for studying singing sands. Installing monitoring equipment and collecting sand samples for laboratory analysis necessarily involves disturbing these pristine natural systems, potentially altering the very phenomena researchers seek to understand. Balancing the need for scientific knowledge with the imperative to preserve these fragile environments requires careful consideration of research methodologies and their potential long-term impacts. The loss of traditional knowledge about singing sands represents another critical challenge for modern conservation efforts. Indigenous communities that have lived near these phenomena for countless generations possess invaluable understanding of their behavior, seasonal patterns, and cultural significance. As modernization draws younger generations away from traditional lifestyles, this accumulated wisdom risks being lost forever, taking with it crucial insights that could inform both scientific research and conservation strategies. Closing reflections. Standing beneath the vast desert sky, listening to ancient songs that emerge from shifting sands, one cannot help but feel connected to something far greater than our everyday understanding of the natural world. The singing dunes of the Gobi Desert continue to produce their mysterious melodies, just as they have for thousands of years, indifferent to our scientific instruments and theoretical explanations. Their haunting voices carry across the empty landscape like messages from another realm, reminding us that nature still holds secrets challenging our most sophisticated attempts at comprehension. The phenomenon of singing sands represents more than just an interesting acoustic curiosity or puzzle for scientists to solve. It embodies our fundamental relationship with the natural world and our endless quest to understand the forces that shape our planet. Each tone that rises from the desert speaks to something deep within the human spirit, connecting us to countless generations who have stood in wonder before these same mysterious sounds. Perhaps the true significance of singing sands lies not in finding complete scientific explanations, but in preserving our capacity for wonder in the face of natural mysteries that transcend current understanding. In an age of rapid technological advancement and environmental change, these ancient voices serve as reminders that the world around us remains full of surprises, beauty, and phenomena that humble our scientific pretensions while inspiring continued exploration and discovery. The dragons that Mongolian legend says lie buried beneath the dunes may be mythical, but the songs they supposedly sing are undeniably real. Whether produced by quantum effects, electromagnetic fields, acoustic resonance, or mechanisms we have yet to imagine, these desert symphonies continue to enchant and mystify all who experience them. They remind us that, despite all our knowledge and technology, the natural world still possesses the power to surprise us with phenomena that challenge our understanding and ignite our imagination. As we face an uncertain future filled with environmental challenges and rapid change, the singing sands serve as both a treasure to be preserved and a mystery to be protected for future generations. Their voices carry the wisdom of geological time, speaking in frequencies that connect us to the deepest rhythms of our planet, while challenging us to remain humble in the face of forces beyond our complete comprehension. What do you believe creates these haunting desert melodies that have mystified humanity for millennia? Share your thoughts about this acoustic enigma in the comments below, and subscribe for more explorations of the natural mysteries that continue to challenge our understanding of the world around us. The sands may sing their secrets to the wind, but their songs remind us that wonder still exists in the most unexpected places. The Mongolian Death Worm Expeditions. Imagine venturing into the most remote corners of the Gobi Desert, where the horizon shimmers with heat waves and silence presses against your ears. You are following century-old tales of a creature so feared that Mongolian nomads refuse to speak its name aloud, referring to it only in whispers as the Olgoi Korkoi. The vast emptiness stretches endlessly in every direction, broken only by scattered scrubland and bleached bones of animals that wandered too far from water. You stand at the edge of one of cryptozoology's most enduring mysteries. For generations, Mongolian nomads have reported encounters with a massive underground predator they describe as resembling a giant intestine, capable of killing both humans and livestock from a distance, without ever being seen. The creature allegedly spits deadly venom, generates lethal electrical charges, and can sense approaching prey through ground vibrations from miles away. Despite its terrifying reputation, no confirmed physical evidence has ever been found. Yet, the Mongolian deathworm remains as elusive as the desert winds that carry its legend. Historical context. The legend of the Olgoi Korkoi, literally meaning intestine worm in Mongolian, has been woven into the cultural fabric of nomadic peoples for centuries, passed down through oral traditions that predate written records. These stories emerged from the harsh realities of desert life, where unexplained deaths of livestock and occasional human fatalities needed explanations that fit within the worldview of people living in constant proximity to nature's most unforgiving forces. Traditional Mongolian shamanism provided frameworks for understanding mysterious phenomena that modern science might attribute to natural causes like lightning strikes, venomous snake bites, or toxic gas emissions from underground sources. The nomadic lifestyle of constant movement across vast territories meant that unusual events could be easily attributed to supernatural forces, especially when they occurred in remote locations where few witnesses survived. The Gobi Desert has always been regarded as a place of powerful spiritual forces within Mongolian cosmology. Stretching across more than 500,000 square miles of inhospitable terrain, the desert represents the ultimate test of human endurance. Temperatures swing from scorching heat during the day to freezing cold at night, while sudden sandstorms can disorient travelers and bury landmarks within minutes. Within this challenging environment, the deathworm legends served multiple cultural functions. They provided explanations for unexplained deaths, reinforced the importance of respecting dangerous desert areas, and created shared narratives that strengthened social bonds within nomadic communities. The creature's description as an underground predator reflected very real dangers posed by the desert's hidden hazards, from unstable ground to toxic minerals that could contaminate water sources. European contact with these legends began during the 19th century, when Russian explorers first encountered detailed accounts from Mongolian informants. However, it was not until the early 20th century that these stories attracted serious attention from the international scientific community, largely due to American explorer Roy Chapman Andrews. discovery. Modern scientific interest in the Mongolian deathworm began with paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews, whose expeditions to the Gobi Desert during the 1920s brought him into contact with numerous local accounts of the mysterious creature. Andrews, who led groundbreaking expeditions for the American Museum of Natural History, was primarily focused on discovering dinosaur fossils, but he could not ignore persistent reports from his Mongolian guides. During his 1922 expedition, Andrews first heard detailed descriptions of the Olgoi Korkoi from multiple independent sources. Local herders described a creature approximately 2 to 5 feet in length, blood red in color, and shaped like a large intestine with no visible head or tail. According to these accounts, the creature lived primarily underground in the southern regions of the Gobi, particularly in areas with sandy soil and sparse vegetation. What made these reports particularly intriguing to Andrews was the consistency of details across different testimonies from people who had no apparent contact with each other. Witnesses consistently described the creature's ability to kill at a distance, either by spitting deadly venom or by generating electrical discharges powerful enough to electrocute both humans and animals. Many accounts mentioned the creature's alleged ability to emerge from the ground during the hottest months of summer. Andrews documented these encounters in his popular books and scientific papers, bringing international attention to the deathworm legends for the first time. His detailed accounts described specific locations where sightings had occurred and the profound fear it inspired among local populations. He noted that experienced desert guides, who showed no fear of known predators, would refuse to enter certain areas where the deathworm was believed to reside. Following Andrews' publications, the deathworm captured the imagination of cryptozoologists worldwide. His scientific credibility lent legitimacy to what might otherwise have been dismissed as local folklore. However, despite extensive searching during his multiple expeditions, Andrews himself never encountered the creature or found any physical evidence of its existence. But what could explain these persistent reports? Theories. The enduring mystery of the Mongolian deathworm has generated numerous theories over the past century, ranging from conventional biological explanations to more exotic possibilities involving unknown species and electromagnetic phenomena. Each proposed solution attempts to account for the creature's reported characteristics while addressing the complete lack of physical evidence. The most straightforward scientific theory suggests that deathworm sightings represent misidentified encounters with known desert reptiles, particularly large specimens of the Tartar sand boa or other snake species native to Central Asia. These snakes can reach considerable lengths, possess thick, sausage-like bodies, and spend most of their time burrowing underground in sandy soil. However, this explanation fails to account for the reported electrical and venomous capabilities. A second biological theory proposes that the deathworm might represent an unknown species of amphisbaenian, or worm lizard, that has evolved specialized defensive mechanisms in response to the harsh desert environment. Amphisbaenians are elongated, legless reptiles that live primarily underground and are found in various desert regions worldwide. Some species can grow to considerable size and possess unusual anatomical features that might explain some aspects of the deathworm descriptions. More speculative theories have proposed that the creature might represent a surviving prehistoric species that has remained hidden in the Gobi's vast underground network of caves and tunnels. This hypothesis suggests that the deathworm could be a relic from an earlier geological period when the region supported very different ecosystems. Fossil evidence shows that the Gobi was once much more humid and supported diverse wildlife. Environmental scientists have suggested that deathworm sightings might be explained by unusual geological phenomena rather than biological causes. The Gobi Desert contains numerous mineral deposits and underground gas pockets that could potentially create electrical discharges or toxic emissions under certain conditions. Lightning strikes during desert storms, might leave underground electrical charges that could be released when disturbed. Could there be an even more mysterious explanation involving electromagnetic phenomena? Some researchers have speculated that certain areas of the Gobi might contain unusual mineral compositions that create natural electromagnetic fields capable of affecting both electronic equipment and biological systems. This theory suggests that the deathworm legends might represent cultural interpretations of encounters with powerful but poorly understood electromagnetic anomalies. Scientific investigations. Modern scientific efforts to investigate the Mongolian deathworm have employed increasingly sophisticated technologies, yet despite decades of research, no expedition has produced conclusive evidence for the creature's existence. These investigations have ranged from systematic biological surveys to advanced geophysical studies designed to detect any unusual phenomena. The first organized scientific expedition, specifically dedicated to finding the deathworm, took place in 1990, when British cryptozoologist Richard Freeman led a team of researchers to the southern Gobi regions where sightings had been most frequently reported. Freeman's expedition used ground-penetrating radar and seismic monitoring equipment to search for large underground cavities that might harbor unknown species. While the team discovered numerous geological formations and documented several previously unknown species, they found no evidence of the deathworm itself. Subsequent expeditions in the late 1990s and early 2000s employed even more advanced technologies, including satellite imaging, electromagnetic field detectors, and sophisticated biological sampling equipment. Czech cryptozoologist Ivan Makerley led several expeditions during this period, focusing on areas where local informants reported the most recent sightings. DNA analysis of soil samples from alleged deathworm habitats has revealed the presence of numerous microorganisms and invertebrate species, including some previously unknown to science. However, none of these discoveries match the descriptions provided by eyewitnesses or suggest the presence of large reptilian or invertebrate predators. Environmental DNA techniques have similarly failed to identify any anomalous species. Electromagnetic surveys of reported sighting areas have detected several interesting anomalies, including unusual mineral deposits and underground water sources. Some of these findings have provided alternative explanations for certain aspects of the deathworm legends, particularly reports of electrical phenomena and equipment malfunctions. However, none fully account for the behavioral characteristics attributed to the creature by traditional accounts. Motion-activated camera traps and continuous monitoring stations have been deployed throughout the southern Gobi, designed to capture evidence of any large animal activity in areas where deathworm encounters have been reported. While these systems have documented numerous known desert species, they have never recorded anything matching the descriptions of the legendary creature. Modern challenges. The ongoing search for the Mongolian deathworm faces numerous contemporary challenges that complicate scientific investigation, while potentially threatening the cultural traditions that have preserved these legends for centuries. Rapid modernization and environmental changes in Mongolia have fundamentally altered both the physical landscape and the social context in which deathworm stories traditionally flourished. Climate change has brought unprecedented alterations to the Gobi Desert ecosystem, with rising temperatures and changing precipitation patterns affecting vegetation, wildlife populations, and underground water systems. These environmental shifts could potentially impact any unknown species that might exist in the area, either by destroying critical habitat or by forcing behavioral changes that make detection even more difficult. The traditional nomadic lifestyle that sustained deathworm folklore for generations is rapidly disappearing as Mongolian herders increasingly adopt settled lifestyles and modern technology. Younger generations often lack the intimate knowledge of desert environments that enabled their ancestors to notice unusual phenomena and pass down detailed oral accounts. As traditional ecological knowledge disappears, researchers lose access to potentially valuable information. Mining and industrial development pose significant threats to the pristine desert environments where deathworm investigations have been conducted. Large-scale extraction operations can permanently alter underground geological structures, eliminate sensitive habitats, and introduce noise and pollution that could disrupt any surviving unknown species. Tourism and media attention have created additional complications for serious scientific research into the death worm phenomenon. Popular interest in cryptozoology has brought numerous amateur investigators and adventure tourists to the region, sometimes interfering with systematic research efforts and potentially contaminating study sites. The challenge of distinguishing between authentic traditional accounts and more recent embellishments has become increasingly complex as deathworm stories have spread through global media and internet platforms. Researchers must carefully evaluate sources to separate genuine folklore from modern additions influenced by popular culture and science fiction. Closing reflections. Standing in the vast emptiness of the Gobi Desert, surrounded by profound silence that has witnessed countless generations of nomadic peoples, one cannot help but contemplate the enduring power of mystery in human experience. The legend of the Mongolian deathworm represents far more than a simple cryptozoological puzzle. It embodies our fundamental relationship with the unknown aspects of our natural world. The creature that local herders dare not name aloud may never emerge from the shifting sands to face the scrutiny of scientific instruments. Perhaps the deathworm exists only in the realm of cultural memory, serving as a metaphor for the dangers and mysteries that lurk beneath the surface of our everyday reality. Or perhaps it represents something more tangible, a reminder that our planet still holds secrets capable of humbling our technological confidence. The expeditions that have sought evidence of this legendary creature have contributed far more to human knowledge than their apparent failure might suggest. Each investigation has deepened our understanding of desert ecosystems, expanded our appreciation for traditional ecological knowledge, and demonstrated the ongoing importance of preserving cultural traditions that connect us to the natural world. Whether the Olgoi Korkoi represents a flesh and blood creature awaiting discovery, a cultural interpretation of poorly understood natural phenomena, or something else entirely, its legend continues to serve vital functions in our relationship with the natural world. It reminds us that mystery and uncertainty are not problems to be solved, but essential aspects of human experience that inspire curiosity, humility, and respect for forces beyond our control. The nomadic peoples who first shared these stories understood something profound about the relationship between knowledge and mystery. Their reluctance to speak the creature's name aloud reflects not superstition, but wisdom, an acknowledgement that some mysteries are more powerful when they remain mysteries, serving as guardians of wonder in a world increasingly mapped and measured by scientific instruments. What do you believe lies beneath the surface of these ancient tales that have captivated imaginations for generations? Could the death worm represent something real that science has yet to discover? Or does its true significance lie in what it reveals about human nature and our eternal quest to understand the mysterious forces that shape our world? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more explorations of the enduring mysteries that continue to challenge our understanding of the world around us. The Flaming Cliffs Time Capsule. Imagine standing atop towering sandstone cliffs that glow like embers in the desert sun, their red layers telling stories from deep time. You are gazing across the Gobi Desert's most famous paleontological site, where the wind has carved ancient secrets from stone. Beneath your feet lies one of the most extraordinary time capsules ever discovered, a moment frozen 80 million years ago when catastrophe struck with such sudden force that entire ecosystems were entombed in an instant. You are witnessing the flaming cliffs of Mongolia, where dinosaur nests still contain unhatched eggs, where mother dinosaurs died protecting their young, and where predators and prey were buried together in eternal struggle. The Jadakta Formation preserves not just bones, but complete scenes of prehistoric life, captured with cinematic precision. Baby dinosaurs lie curled within their shells, their development halted forever. What force could have achieved such perfect preservation across thousands of square miles? What catastrophe was so swift and complete that it could bury entire communities of dinosaurs before they could flee, creating a fossil record so detailed that scientists can read the last moments of creatures that lived before grass existed on Earth? Historical context. The story of the Flaming Cliffs begins in the late Cretaceous period, approximately 80 to 70 million years ago, when the climate of Central Asia was dramatically different from today's harsh desert environment. During this ancient epoch, the region experienced a semi-arid climate with seasonal rainfall, supporting diverse ecosystems that included rivers, lakes, and vast sand dune fields that shifted across the landscape like frozen waves. This ancient environment was home to remarkable creatures that lived during the final chapters of the Age of Dinosaurs. Small theropod dinosaurs like Velociraptor hunted across the dune fields, while herbivorous Protoceratops gathered in herds to feed on sparse vegetation. Primitive mammals scurried through the undergrowth, while pterosaurs soared overhead in skies that had never been crossed by birds. The preservation conditions that make the Jadakta Formation so extraordinary were created by a unique combination of environmental factors. The region's semi-arid climate meant that carcasses could be rapidly buried by shifting sands before decomposition set in, while the alkaline chemistry of the sediments helped preserve delicate structures like skin impressions and feathers. What makes this geological formation truly remarkable is not just the quality of preservation, but the apparent suddenness with which entire communities were entombed. Unlike most fossil sites, which preserve individual specimens that died over long periods of time, the Flaming Cliffs contain evidence of mass mortality events that affected multiple species simultaneously. The concentration of perfectly preserved specimens suggests that something catastrophic happened repeatedly in this region during the late Cretaceous period. Discovery. The scientific discovery of the Flaming Cliffs began with the legendary expeditions of Roy Chapman Andrews and the American Museum of Natural History during the 1920s. Andrews, leading what would become some of the most famous paleontological expeditions in history, was initially searching for evidence of early human ancestors when his team stumbled upon something far more extraordinary. In 1923, expedition member George Olson made a discovery that would revolutionize paleontology. While exploring the Red Cliffs of Bayanzag, Olson uncovered the first scientifically documented dinosaur eggs, arranged in neat rows within what was clearly an ancient nest. The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community, as it provided the first direct evidence of dinosaur reproductive behavior and family structure. What made this discovery even more remarkable was the completeness of the preservation. The eggs were not scattered or broken, but remained exactly as they had been arranged by their parents 80 million years ago. Some contained the perfectly preserved skeletons of baby dinosaurs that had never hatched, their tiny bones still articulated in natural poses within their calcium carbonate shells. Subsequent expeditions to the site revealed increasingly extraordinary finds. In 1971, a joint Polish-Mongolian expedition uncovered one of the most famous fossils ever discovered, the fighting dinosaurs specimen, which preserves a velociraptor locked in mortal combat with a Protoceratops. The two dinosaurs appear to have been buried alive while engaged in battle, their final struggle immortalized in stone. The fighting dinosaurs discovery was particularly significant because it demonstrated that the preservation process had been virtually instantaneous. The velociraptor's sickle claw remains embedded in the Protoceratops's throat, while the herbivore's beak grips the predator's arm. Neither animal had time to disengage from combat before being entombed, suggesting that whatever buried them happened within minutes or even seconds. But what really happened here? How could such perfect preservation occur repeatedly across millions of years? Theories. The mystery of how the flaming cliffs achieved such extraordinary preservation has generated numerous competing theories, each attempting to explain the unique conditions that could entomb entire ecosystems so quickly and completely. The challenge lies in identifying a mechanism that could operate repeatedly over geological time, creating the multiple mass mortality events preserved in the Jadokta Formation. The most widely accepted scientific theory proposes that massive sandstorms were responsible for the sudden burial of dinosaur communities. During the late Cretaceous period, the region's semi-arid climate and extensive sand dune fields would have been prone to enormous dust storms similar to modern haboobs, but on a much larger scale. These ancient sandstorms could have been powerful enough to bury entire herds of dinosaurs within minutes, preserving them exactly where they died. Proponents of the sandstorm theory point to the fine-grained nature of much of the sediment surrounding the fossils, which suggests rapid deposition from suspended particles rather than water transport. The preservation of delicate structures like feather impressions also supports the idea that burial was extremely rapid, preventing scavengers and decay processes from disturbing the remains. However, the sandstorm explanation faces significant challenges. Many specimens show no signs of the stress positions that would be expected if animals were consciously trying to protect themselves from an approaching storm. The fighting dinosaurs seem to have been caught completely by surprise, with no indication that they were aware of any environmental threat. A second major theory suggests that flash flooding events were responsible for the mass burials. Seasonal monsoons or sudden cloudbursts could have created powerful flood surges that rapidly buried dinosaur communities under layers of water-transported sediment. This hypothesis could explain both the speed of burial and the preservation of articulated skeletons in natural poses. More speculative theories have proposed volcanic activity as the primary burial mechanism. Sudden ash falls from distant volcanic eruptions could have smothered dinosaur communities similar to the way Mount Vesuvius preserved Pompeii. The fine-grained nature of volcanic ash would provide ideal preservation conditions, while toxic gases could explain the lack of escape behaviors in many specimens. Could there be an even more dramatic explanation? Some researchers have suggested that the mass mortality events might be connected to larger catastrophic processes, such as asteroid impacts or massive volcanic eruptions that affected regional climate patterns. While no direct evidence exists for such large-scale catastrophes in the immediate vicinity, the global environmental disruptions of the late Cretaceous period could have created the unstable conditions necessary for repeated mass burial events. Scientific investigations. Modern scientific investigations of the flaming cliffs have employed increasingly sophisticated techniques to unlock the secrets of the Jadokta Formation's extraordinary preservation. These studies combine traditional paleontological methods with cutting-edge technologies from geology, chemistry, and materials science to understand both the ancient ecosystems and the processes that preserve them. High-resolution CT scanning has revolutionized the study of the site's most famous specimens, allowing researchers to examine internal structures without damaging the fossils. Scans of unhatched dinosaur eggs have revealed complete skeletal development stages, providing unprecedented insights into dinosaur embryology and growth patterns. The fighting dinosaur specimen has been subjected to detailed biomechanical analysis, confirming that both animals were alive and actively engaged in combat at the moment of burial. Geochemical analysis of the sediments surrounding fossil specimens has provided crucial evidence about the preservation environment. Isotope studies suggest that burial occurred during dry seasons when water tables were low, supporting theories about rapid desiccation and preservation. Trace element analysis has revealed the alkaline chemistry that helped preserve organic materials, while scanning electron microscopy has documented the preservation of cellular structures. Sedimentological studies have attempted to determine the exact mechanism of burial by analyzing grain size distributions, sedimentary structures, and depositional patterns throughout the formation. These investigations have revealed evidence for multiple burial mechanisms, suggesting that different types of catastrophic events may have been responsible for different preservation episodes. Recent excavations have employed GPS mapping and photogrammetry to create detailed three-dimensional models of fossil sites, allowing researchers to analyze spatial relationships between specimens and reconstruct ancient ecological communities. These techniques have revealed evidence for complex social behaviors, including possible herding in herbivorous species and cooperative hunting in theropods. Advanced dating techniques have established precise temporal relationships between different fossil horizons, revealing that mass mortality events occurred repeatedly throughout the formation's depositional history. This pattern suggests that whatever caused the extraordinary preservation was not a single catastrophic event, but rather a recurring environmental phenomenon. Modern challenges. The Flaming Cliffs face numerous contemporary threats that jeopardize both ongoing research and the preservation of this irreplaceable paleontological heritage. Climate change and increased aridity in the Gobi Desert region have accelerated erosion processes, exposing new fossils while simultaneously destroying others through weathering and wind damage. Illegal fossil collection has become a significant problem as the international market for dinosaur specimens has grown. Valuable fossils are being removed from their scientific context, destroying the geological relationships that are crucial for understanding ancient ecosystems and burial processes. The loss of these specimens represents an irreplaceable loss of scientific information. Increased tourism and development pressure in Mongolia have brought both opportunities and challenges to the region. While greater accessibility has facilitated scientific research and education, it has also increased the risk of site damage and fossil theft. The remote location that once protected the Flaming Cliffs has become more accessible through improved transportation infrastructure. Political and economic challenges in Mongolia have sometimes complicated international scientific collaboration, limiting access to advanced analytical techniques and equipment. The need to balance scientific research with national heritage protection has created complex regulatory environments that can slow important research projects. Climate-related changes in precipitation patterns and temperature extremes are affecting the long-term stability of exposed fossil specimens. Increased freeze-thaw cycles and more intense storms are accelerating the natural erosion processes that both reveal and destroy fossils, creating an urgent need for systematic documentation and collection of specimens before they are lost forever. The challenge of training local scientists and conservators to manage this world-class paleontological site requires significant investment in education and infrastructure. Building indigenous capacity for fossil research and conservation is essential for the long-term protection of the site, but requires sustained international cooperation and funding. Closing reflections. Standing before the Flaming Cliffs today, watching the desert wind continue its ancient work of carving stories from stone, one cannot help but feel humbled by the extraordinary window into deep time that this site provides. The red sandstone towers hold secrets from a world so alien that grass had not yet evolved. Yet the preserved moments of life and death speak to universal experiences that transcend geological epochs. The mystery of how these perfect preservation conditions arose may never be fully solved, but perhaps that is part of what makes the Flaming Cliffs so compelling. Each new discovery adds another piece to the puzzle, while revealing new questions about the complex interactions between ancient life and the catastrophic forces that shaped their world. The fighting dinosaurs locked in eternal combat, the unhatched eggs waiting forever for young that will never emerge, tell stories that are both scientifically valuable and deeply moving. In our modern world of rapid environmental change and mass extinctions, the Flaming Cliffs serve as a powerful reminder of how quickly entire ecosystems can be transformed or destroyed. The creatures preserved here lived in a time of global warming and changing climates, facing environmental pressures that ultimately contributed to their extinction. Their preserved final moments offer both a warning and a source of wonder about the resilience and fragility of life on Earth. Whether the burial mechanism was massive sandstorms, flash floods, volcanic ash falls, or some combination of catastrophic events, the result is one of the most important paleontological sites on Earth. The flaming cliffs continue to yield discoveries that reshape our understanding of dinosaur behavior, evolution, and extinction, while reminding us that even the most successful species can disappear in an instant when faced with overwhelming environmental change. The wind that sculpts these cliffs today carries echoes of ancient storms that may have buried entire worlds 80 million years ago. In listening to those whispers from deep time, we gain not only scientific knowledge, but also perspective on our own place in the grand sweep of Earth's history. What do you think could have created such perfect preservation conditions that entire moments from prehistoric life remain frozen in stone? Could similar catastrophic events threaten our modern ecosystems, or do the flaming cliffs represent environmental conditions unique to the ancient past? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more explorations of the remarkable discoveries that continue to reshape our understanding of life on Earth. The petroglyphs of Baga Gazren Chulu. Imagine walking across ancient granite formations, rising from the Gobi Desert like silent sentinels. The weathered stone surfaces around you are covered with thousands of mysterious carvings, their meanings lost to time. You trace your fingers along images that seem to tell impossible stories. Elongated humanoid figures with oversized heads, strange disc-shaped objects floating in primitive skies, and beings that appear to descend from above, alongside traditional depictions of hunters and herders. You are standing among the petroglyphs of Baga Gazren Chulu, one of Mongolia's most enigmatic archaeological sites. Here, scattered across granite outcroppings, ancient artists left behind a visual chronicle spanning millennia. Some images clearly depict nomadic life: hunters pursuing animals, herders tending flocks, shamans performing sacred rituals under star-filled skies. But others defy explanation. Figures with elongated skulls and strange proportions stand beside what appear to be vehicles unlike anything from the ancient world. What compelled ancient peoples to create these enigmatic images? What did they witness that inspired them to document encounters challenging our understanding of human history? Historical context. The Gobi Desert region has served as a crossroads of human civilization for over 50,000 years, witnessing the migration of early populations across Asia and the development of complex nomadic cultures. The granite formations of Baga Gazren Chulu have provided shelter and spiritual significance for countless generations traversing these harsh landscapes. Archaeological evidence suggests the earliest petroglyphs date back to the Paleolithic period, when hunter-gatherer societies first began leaving their mark on permanent stone surfaces. These ancient artists chose granite outcroppings not only for durability, but also for their spiritual significance within shamanic traditions that viewed certain rock formations as sacred portals between earthly and celestial realms. Rock art creation continued through multiple cultural periods, with Bronze Age pastoralists, Iron Age warriors, and medieval Mongol tribes all adding their own imagery to the accumulated visual record. Each successive culture interpreted and sometimes modified existing petroglyphs, creating complex palimpsests, reflecting thousands of years of human interaction with the landscape. Traditional Mongolian cosmology provides important context for understanding many petroglyphs. Ancient belief systems recognized multiple layers of reality, with shamans serving as intermediaries between the human world and the realm of spirits inhabiting sky, earth, and underground domains. Many rock art sites were considered sacred spaces where communication with supernatural beings was possible. Trade routes connecting China with Central Asia and Europe passed through the Gobi region, bringing diverse peoples into contact with the petroglyphs. Travelers from distant lands may have contributed their own interpretations to the rock art, creating a multicultural dialogue preserved in stone. However, the most puzzling aspects appear to transcend cultural boundaries and historical periods. Images of elongated humanoid figures, disc-shaped objects, and apparent aerial phenomena appear consistently across different artistic styles and time periods, suggesting that whatever inspired these depictions was witnessed repeatedly by various peoples over extended periods. Discovery. The systematic study of Bagagazran-Chulu petroglyphs began in the 1960s, when Soviet archaeological expeditions first documented the extensive rock art scattered across the granite formations. However, local knowledge of these sites extends back countless generations, with Mongolian herders preserving oral traditions about the sacred nature of the carved stones. The first comprehensive scientific survey was conducted in 1978 by a joint Soviet-Mongolian archaeological team led by Dr. Anatoly Okladnikov. The expedition cataloged over 3,000 individual petroglyphs across 17 major rock art sites, revealing the extraordinary scope of the ancient artistic record preserved in the region. What made the discovery particularly significant was the apparent chronological diversity of the artwork. Using stylistic analysis and comparison with dated materials from other sites, researchers identified petroglyphs spanning at least 8,000 years of human history. The earliest images appeared to date from the Mesolithic period, while the most recent additions were created during the medieval period. The most intriguing discoveries came when researchers began documenting unusual imagery that set Bagagazran-Chulu apart from other rock art sites. Alongside conventional depictions of hunting scenes and human activities, the expedition found numerous examples of anomalous imagery. These included humanoid figures with elongated heads and unusual proportions, disc-shaped objects with radiating lines, and complex scenes showing interaction between human figures and non-human entities. Subsequent expeditions in the 1990s employed advanced documentation techniques, including high-resolution photography and three-dimensional scanning. These studies revealed previously unnoticed details in many carvings and identified subtle connections between images located across different rock formations. The application of modern dating techniques yielded surprising results. While many petroglyphs could be placed within expected chronological frameworks, others resisted conventional dating methods. Some of the most enigmatic images appeared to have been created during multiple time periods, with evidence of recarving spanning centuries. But what really happened here? What experiences compelled ancient peoples to create these mysterious images that continue to puzzle researchers today? Theories. The enigmatic petroglyphs have generated numerous competing theories among researchers from various disciplines. Each proposed explanation attempts to account for the unusual imagery while fitting within different frameworks for understanding ancient human experience. The most conventional archaeological theory interprets the anomalous imagery as stylized representations of shamanic visions and spiritual experiences. The elongated humanoid figures represent shamans in altered states of consciousness, their distorted proportions reflecting visual distortions experienced during trance states. The disc-shaped objects are interpreted as symbolic representations of drums, shields, or celestial bodies that played important roles in shamanic cosmology. This shamanic interpretation gains support from ethnographic studies of traditional Mongolian spiritual practices, which document the use of altered consciousness techniques to communicate with spirit beings. The consistent appearance of similar imagery across different time periods could reflect the continuity of shamanic traditions and the universal nature of certain visionary experiences. However, the shamanic theory faces challenges when confronted with the technical precision found in many anomalous petroglyphs. Unlike typical shamanic art, which tends toward abstraction, many unusual images display careful attention to proportion and mechanical detail that suggests direct observation rather than visionary experience. A second major theory proposes that the petroglyphs document contact with technologically advanced civilizations from other regions. Proponents suggest that disc-shaped objects represent actual vehicles operated by visitors from distant lands with superior technology. The elongated humanoid figures are interpreted as depictions of foreign peoples, possibly wearing helmets that created unusual silhouettes. This ancient contact theory draws parallels with similar unexplained imagery found in rock art sites worldwide. The global distribution of comparable anomalous petroglyphs suggests that whatever phenomena inspired these depictions may have been experienced by multiple ancient cultures across different continents. More speculative theories have proposed extraterrestrial explanations for the most puzzling imagery. According to this view, the petroglyphs document actual contact between ancient human populations and visitors from other worlds. The disc-shaped objects represent alien spacecraft, while the elongated humanoid figures depict the extraterrestrial visitors themselves. Could there be a more terrestrial explanation? Some researchers suggest that the anomalous petroglyphs might document encounters with unknown atmospheric or geological phenomena unique to the Gobi region. Unusual weather patterns, electromagnetic anomalies, or rare geological events could have created visual experiences that ancient peoples interpreted as contact with supernatural beings. Scientific investigations. Modern scientific investigations have employed sophisticated analytical techniques to understand both the creation methods and potential meanings of the mysterious rock art. These studies combine traditional archaeological approaches with cutting-edge technologies to extract maximum information from the ancient carvings. High-resolution digital documentation has revolutionized the study of the petroglyphs, allowing researchers to detect subtle details invisible to the naked eye. Multispectral imaging techniques can reveal faded or weathered carvings, while three-dimensional laser scanning creates precise records of surface topography. These technologies have identified previously unknown petroglyphs and revealed evidence of multiple episodes of carving at individual sites. Geochemical analysis of rock surfaces has provided insights into the age and creation methods of different petroglyphs. Desert varnish dating techniques measure the accumulation of mineral deposits on carved surfaces to estimate when specific images were created. While this method has limitations in the harsh Gobi environment, it has helped establish relative chronologies for different groups of petroglyphs. Microscopic analysis of carving techniques has revealed information about the tools and methods used to create the petroglyphs. Different implement signatures can sometimes be associated with specific cultural periods, helping to date images that lack clear stylistic indicators. The precision of some anomalous petroglyphs suggests the use of specialized tools. Comparative studies with rock art sites throughout Asia have identified recurring motifs that appear across different cultures and geographical regions. Computer-assisted pattern recognition has detected similarities between petroglyphs separated by thousands of miles and centuries of time, suggesting either cultural diffusion or independent responses to similar phenomena. Astronomical analysis has examined whether some petroglyphs might represent ancient observations of celestial events. Star charts and planetary alignment calculations have identified possible correlations between certain carved images and significant astronomical occurrences visible from the Gobi region during various historical periods. Experimental archaeology has attempted to replicate the carving techniques, providing insights into the time and skill required for their production. These studies reveal that the most complex anomalous images would have required significant investment of resources, suggesting their creation was considered important. Modern challenges. The petroglyphs face numerous contemporary threats that jeopardize both their physical preservation and ongoing research. Climate change and increasing environmental pressures have accelerated natural weathering processes that gradually erode the carved surfaces, making detailed documentation increasingly urgent. Vandalism and unauthorized interference have become growing problems as the sites become more accessible. Some visitors have attempted to enhance faded carvings with chalk or paint, inadvertently damaging original surfaces. Others have added modern graffiti, overlapping ancient imagery, compromising the archaeological record. The remote location of many petroglyph sites creates challenges for monitoring and protection efforts. Limited resources for site management mean that many locations remain unguarded and vulnerable to damage. The vast scale of the rock art complex makes comprehensive protection particularly difficult. Political and economic pressures in Mongolia have sometimes complicated international research efforts and limited access to advanced analytical equipment. Changes in government policies regarding archaeological research can affect long-term study projects, while economic development pressures may threaten sites with potential mining or infrastructure projects. The challenge of interpreting the most anomalous petroglyphs has created debates within the archaeological community about appropriate research approaches. The unusual nature of some imagery attracts attention from fringe researchers and popular media, making it difficult for serious scholars to address the mysteries without being associated with sensationalized interpretations. Digital documentation efforts face challenges related to data storage and long-term preservation. The massive amounts of high-resolution imagery generated by modern recording techniques require significant technological infrastructure to remain useful for future researchers. Training local communities to participate in site protection requires investment in education and capacity building. Developing indigenous expertise in archaeological techniques is essential for the long-term stewardship of the sites, but requires sustained international cooperation and funding. Closing reflections. Standing among the ancient granite formations of Baga Gazran Chulu, surrounded by thousands of mysterious carvings that span human history in this region, one cannot help but feel connected to countless generations who have looked upon these same images and wondered about their meaning. The petroglyphs serve as a bridge across time, linking us to ancient peoples who felt compelled to document their experiences in the most permanent medium available. The mystery of the anomalous imagery may never be fully resolved, but perhaps that uncertainty is part of what makes these petroglyphs so compelling. They remind us that human experience has always included encounters with the unexplained, phenomena that challenge our understanding of what is possible. Whether these images document shamanic visions, contact with unknown peoples, encounters with extraordinary natural phenomena, or something else entirely, they represent authentic responses to experiences that seemed significant enough to preserve. The careful attention to detail evident in many anomalous petroglyphs suggests that their creators were not simply recording fantasies, but attempting to document something they believed was real and important. The consistency of certain motifs across different time periods implies that whatever inspired these images was experienced repeatedly by various peoples over extended periods. As we continue to study and protect these remarkable sites, the petroglyphs serve as reminders that the universe still holds mysteries that challenge our understanding. They invite us to remain open to possibilities that lie beyond our current knowledge, while maintaining the careful observational skills that characterize scientific inquiry. The ancient artists who created these enigmatic images have left us a puzzle encoded in stone and waiting for future generations to decipher. Their work reminds us that the quest to understand our place in the cosmos is one of the most enduring aspects of human nature, connecting us across vast spans of time. What do you believe these ancient artists were trying to tell us through their mysterious carvings? Could the anomalous imagery represent forgotten chapters of human history? Or do these petroglyphs document phenomena that remain active in our world today? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more explorations of the ancient mysteries that continue to challenge our understanding of the past and inspire our curiosity about the unknown. The Taklamakan mummy caches. Imagine walking across the sun-baked sands of the Taklamakan Desert, where shifting dunes reveal secrets that have slept for thousands of years. You stumble upon something extraordinary: the naturally preserved remains of people who died over 3,000 years ago. But these are not the remains you might expect to find in Central Asia. You are looking at mummies with European features, blonde hair still intact, wearing wool clothing woven in tartan patterns that seem impossibly out of place. These are the Tarim mummies, discovered in burial sites scattered across the desert's edges, and they challenge everything historians thought they knew about ancient migration paths. The presence of these European-featured individuals, buried with intricate textiles and bronze artifacts thousands of miles from Europe, raises profound questions. Who were these people? How did they come to live and die in one of the world's most isolated deserts? What forgotten chapters of human migration do their remains represent? Historical context. The Taklamakan Desert occupies the heart of the Tarim Basin in western China, forming one of the world's largest sandy deserts. For thousands of years, this region has been a crossroads of human migration and trade. Despite its harsh climate, the name Taklamakan means place of no return in the local Turkic language. During antiquity, the Tarim Basin served as a crucial corridor connecting east and west along what would become the Silk Road. The region's importance lay in the chain of oasis towns dotting its periphery, fed by rivers from surrounding mountains. These settlements became vital stopping points for traders, pilgrims, and armies moving between China, Central Asia, and Mediterranean markets. The earliest inhabitants remain shrouded in mystery, known primarily through archaeological evidence, suggesting a complex mixture of cultures. Ancient Chinese texts reference various kingdoms and tribal groups, including the Yuezhi and Wusun, whose exact identities remain debated by scholars. The Tarim region's position at the intersection of multiple cultural spheres makes it particularly intriguing. Indo-European peoples from the west, Altaic groups from the north, and Chinese civilizations from the east all left their mark. The archaeological record reveals a fascinating blend of technologies, artistic styles, and cultural practices reflecting this complex heritage. Preservation conditions in the Taklamakan are exceptional due to extreme aridity, alkaline soil, and temperature fluctuations, creating natural mummification. These factors preserved not only human remains, but also textiles, wooden artifacts, food items, and other organic materials that would have decomposed elsewhere. By the medieval period, the Silk Road made the Tarim Basin one of the world's most cosmopolitan regions, with Buddhist monasteries, Zoroastrian temples, and Islamic mosques serving diverse populations. However, earlier inhabitants, particularly those from the Bronze and Iron Ages, represent a much more mysterious chapter of human history. Discovery. The modern discovery of the Tarim mummies began in the early 20th century, when Swedish explorer Sven Hedin and British archaeologist Aurel Stein first encountered remarkably preserved human remains during expeditions across Central Asia. However, systematic excavations revealing the true significance of these burial sites began only in the 1970s and 80s. Chinese archaeologists made increasingly remarkable discoveries throughout the latter decades of the 20th century. In 1972, workers constructing an irrigation canal near Gaochang accidentally uncovered a burial site containing several naturally mummified bodies. These finds sparked researcher interest, but the most significant discoveries were yet to come. The breakthrough occurred in 1980, when a team led by Chinese archaeologist Wang Binghua began systematic excavations throughout the Tarim Basin. At Kairihul, Yingpan, Nia, and other locations across the desert's edge. They uncovered burial grounds containing hundreds of preserved mummies dating from approximately 1800 BCE to 400 CE. What made these discoveries extraordinary was not just exceptional preservation, but the unexpected appearance and cultural artifacts of many mummies. The oldest specimens displayed distinctly European characteristics: tall stature, blonde or reddish hair, blue or green eyes, and facial features more typical of Western Eurasian than Eastern Asian populations. Perhaps more surprising were the textiles buried with these ancient people. Many wore wool clothing featuring complex tartan patterns, plaid designs, bearing striking resemblances to Celtic textiles found thousands of miles away in Europe. Others were buried with leather boots, felt hats, and bronze tools suggesting sophisticated metalworking traditions. The most famous discovery is the Beauty of Lulan, a female mummy dating to approximately 1800 BCE, whose blonde hair, European features, and wool clothing made her an international sensation. Similarly preserved specimens included the Chechen man, a tall individual with reddish-brown hair, buried wearing colorful wool leggings and leather boots. But what really happened in this remote desert region thousands of years ago? Theories. The presence of European-featured mummies in the Taklamakan has generated numerous theories among researchers, each attempting to explain this remarkable anomaly in our understanding of ancient human migration and cultural exchange. The most widely accepted theory proposes that the Tarim mummies represent descendants of early Indo-European migrations spreading across Eurasia during the Bronze Age. Groups of pastoralists and farmers moved eastward from the Pontic steppes or Central European plains, eventually reaching the Tarim Basin, where they established communities around the desert's edge. These populations brought their textile traditions, metalworking techniques, and physical characteristics. This migration theory gained support from linguistic evidence suggesting that Tocharian, an extinct Indo-European language, was spoken in the Tarim Basin until approximately the 10th century CE. Ancient documents written in Tocharian found at several regional sites provide a potential link between early European-featured populations and later historical inhabitants. However, the migration theory faces challenges explaining specific details of the mummy's clothing and artifacts. Tartan patterns and weaving techniques on many textiles bear striking resemblances to Celtic traditions that developed in Western Europe. Yet the Tarim mummies predate known Celtic cultural development by centuries. A second major theory proposes that the mummies represent evidence of extensive trade networks connecting distant Eurasian regions much earlier than traditionally recognized. The European-featured individuals were not necessarily permanent residents, but rather traders, craftspeople, or specialists who traveled vast distances along prehistoric trade routes. This early trade network theory suggests Bronze Age peoples were capable of much more extensive travel and cultural exchange than previously imagined. The presence of European-featured individuals in Central Asia would represent evidence of regular contact between distant populations, with the Taklamakan region serving as a meeting point for peoples from various parts of Eurasia. More speculative theories propose that the mummies represent a previously unknown branch of human migration following routes across northern Eurasia. Some researchers suggest these populations originated in Siberia or other northern regions, developing distinctive cultural characteristics through isolation and adaptation to harsh conditions. Environmental theories suggest that Bronze Age climate conditions were significantly different from today, potentially supporting larger populations and more extensive travel across regions now inhospitable. If the Taklamakan was less arid during antiquity, it might have supported trade routes and settlements, facilitating movement across vast distances. Scientific investigations. Modern scientific analysis has employed sophisticated techniques to extract maximum information from these remarkable remains. DNA analysis, isotope studies, and advanced materials science have contributed to understanding these ancient peoples and their origins. Genetic analysis of hair and tissue samples has revealed a complex picture of population origins. Early DNA studies suggested strong connections to European populations, particularly from the Pontic-Caspian steppes and Central Europe. However, comprehensive genetic analysis has revealed mixed ancestry, including both European and Asian genetic markers. Mitochondrial DNA analysis has identified genetic lineages common in both European and Central Asian populations, suggesting Tarim Basin inhabitants had ancestors from multiple regions. Y chromosome studies have similarly revealed genetic diversity, reflecting complex population histories rather than simple migration from a single source. Isotope analysis of teeth and bones has provided insights into diet and geographic origins. Strontium isotope ratios have shown that some mummies were likely born in the Tarim Basin region, while others may have migrated from distant areas. Carbon and nitrogen isotope analysis has revealed dietary patterns consistent with mixed agricultural and pastoral lifestyles. Textile analysis using advanced microscopy has revealed sophisticated weaving traditions, combining elements from multiple cultural traditions. Complex tartan patterns required advanced planning and technical skill, suggesting these were products of established craft traditions rather than crude frontier textiles. Radiocarbon dating has established a chronology spanning nearly 2 millennia, from approximately 1800 BCE to 400 CE. This extended time frame suggests European-featured populations were present in the Tarim Basin for many generations rather than representing isolated incidents of long-distance travel. Recent advances in ancient DNA extraction have allowed examination of nuclear DNA from multiple specimens, providing detailed information about population, relationships, and migration patterns. These studies have revealed genetic connections to multiple ancient populations, including early farmers from Anatolia, pastoralists from the Pontic steppes, and indigenous Central Asian groups. Paleo-environmental reconstruction, using pollen analysis and lake sediment cores, has revealed significant climate and vegetation changes over the past 4,000 years. These studies suggest the region was significantly more humid during the Bronze Age, potentially supporting larger populations and more extensive agricultural activities. Modern challenges. The study and preservation of the Tarim mummies face numerous contemporary challenges, threatening both scientific research and cultural heritage protection. Political tensions, environmental degradation, and ethical concerns have complicated efforts to understand and preserve these remarkable remains. Access to mummies and archaeological sites has been restricted by Chinese government policies, limiting international research, collaboration, and controlling information flow about regional discoveries. These restrictions have slowed scientific progress and prevented comprehensive international studies that could help resolve questions about the mummy's origins. The exceptional preservation making the mummies valuable for study also makes them extremely vulnerable to environmental changes. Temperature fluctuations, humidity variations, and pollutant exposure can cause rapid deterioration of materials that survived for thousands of years. Many mummies have suffered damage from improper storage or display conditions. Ethical questions surrounding human remains study have become increasingly important. Indigenous communities and cultural groups have raised concerns about displaying human remains and the need for respectful treatment of ancient peoples. These concerns have led to debates about museum practices and balancing scientific research with cultural sensitivity. Climate change poses long-term threats to both archaeological sites and preserved remains. Changes in precipitation patterns and temperature could affect natural preservation processes that maintain the mummies for millennia. Rising temperatures and changing humidity could accelerate decomposition and threaten survival of these irreplaceable resources. The remote location of many sites makes ongoing monitoring and protection difficult. Limited resources for site security mean important locations remain vulnerable to looting, vandalism, and natural damage. The vast scale of the Tarim Basin makes comprehensive protection particularly challenging. Modern development and infrastructure projects pose additional threats. Mining operations, road construction, and urban expansion can destroy important sites before proper study. The balance between economic development and heritage protection remains a significant challenge for regional authorities. Closing reflections. Standing in the vast Taklamakan Desert, surrounded by endless dunes that have both preserved and concealed these ancient secrets, one cannot help but marvel at the complex tapestry of human history these mummies represent. They remind us that our ancestors were capable of remarkable journeys and cultural exchanges connecting distant corners of the world long before global trade networks. The European featured mummies challenge our understanding of ancient human migration and cultural contact in ways that continue reshaping archaeological thinking. They suggest that boundaries between East and West, between different cultural spheres and genetic populations, were far more permeable in antiquity than previously imagined. The mystery of how European featured individuals came to live in Central Asia thousands of years ago may never be completely solved, but the search for answers continues, revealing new insights about human adaptability, mobility, and cultural creativity. Each discovery adds another puzzle piece, while raising new questions about ancient human society complexity. Perhaps most remarkable about the Tarim mummies is not their European appearance or exotic location, but their humanity. Preserved by the desert's harsh embrace, they speak across millennia about universal human experiences. The desire to create beautiful things, to travel and explore, to build communities in challenging environments, and to remember the dead with dignity. These ancient people, whether migrants from distant lands, products of complex population mixing, or representatives of forgotten civilizations, remind us that human history is far richer and more complex than any simple narrative can capture. They lived at the intersection of worlds, where different traditions met and created something new. As we continue studying these remarkable remains, the Tarim mummies serve as ambassadors from a distant past, carrying messages about human resilience, creativity, and the eternal quest to understand our place in the world. What do you believe explains the presence of European featured people in ancient Central Asia? Could they represent evidence of forgotten migration routes, early trade networks, or entirely unknown chapters of human history? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more explorations of archaeological mysteries that continue challenging our understanding of the human past. The Mongolian Stonehenge complexes. Imagine standing on the windswept steppes of Mongolia, where towering stone monuments rise from the endless landscape. These ancient pillars, some reaching 4 meters in height, are carved with intricate symbols and images of flying stags. Arranged in precise patterns across the terrain, their placement seems guided by celestial movements that ancient peoples tracked with remarkable accuracy. You are witnessing the deer stones of Mongolia, part of a vast network of megalithic complexes scattered across Central Asia. These mysterious monuments stand as silent sentinels over burial mounds called kiriksurs. Local shamanic traditions speak of these stones as gateways to other realms, portals through which spirits could travel between worlds. The precision of their astronomical alignments rivals Stonehenge, yet their creators remain largely unknown. Who possessed the knowledge to construct these sophisticated monuments? What cosmic events were they designed to track? Historical context. The Deerstones and Hirigsur complexes represent one of the world's most extensive megalithic cultures, spanning territory from the Altai Mountains to the eastern steppes. These monuments were created during the Late Bronze Age and Early Iron Age, between the 15th and 7th centuries BCE, by nomadic peoples whose astronomical knowledge challenges assumptions about ancient steppe societies. The builders were part of the broader Scythian cultural sphere, though their specific identity remains debated. Archaeological evidence suggests they were skilled metalworkers, horse riders, and astronomers who developed complex religious systems centered around celestial movements and spiritual journeys of the deceased. The term deer stones derives from elaborate carvings of stylized stags that adorn many monuments. These images show deer in flight, their antlers transformed into flowing patterns that researchers interpret as representations of the tree of life, or cosmic axis. The deer appear to leap upward, suggesting themes of ascension and spiritual transformation. Kirigzurs, the burial mounds associated with deer stones, represent complex mortuary structures created by nomadic societies. These circular stone constructions can reach diameters of over 100 meters and are often surrounded by smaller satellite burials, suggesting hierarchical social organization and elaborate funeral practices involving horse sacrifice. Over 700 deer stones have been documented across Mongolia alone, with additional examples in southern Siberia, Kazakhstan, and northwestern China. This widespread distribution suggests either unified culture spanning vast distances or rapid diffusion of religious and astronomical knowledge across nomadic networks. The astronomical precision, evident in many complexes, indicates builders possessed sophisticated knowledge of celestial mechanics. Many sites are aligned with significant astronomical events, including solstices, equinoxes, and the rising points of important stars and constellations. Discovery. Scientific discovery of Mongolia's deer stone complexes began in the late 19th century, when Russian and European explorers first encountered these monuments during Central Asian expeditions. However, their true significance only became apparent through systematic archaeological investigations beginning in the 20th century. Early accounts often dismissed deer stones as simple grave markers created by primitive nomadic peoples. The intricate astronomical alignments and sophisticated symbolic systems were not immediately recognized, leading to decades of underestimation of their cultural importance. The breakthrough came during Soviet-era expeditions in the 1950s and 60s, when teams began systematic surveys across Mongolia. These investigations revealed the true complexity of the deer stone tradition, documenting hundreds of sites with precise measurements and detailed recordings of carved imagery and spatial relationships. A significant discovery occurred in 1992 when an international team began investigating the Ushkian Uver site in northern Mongolia. This complex, containing over 20 deer stones arranged in precise geometric patterns, demonstrated the astronomical sophistication of the monument builders and their understanding of celestial movements. Advanced techniques employed at Ushkin Uver revealed evidence of elaborate burial practices involving whole horses, sophisticated bronze and gold artifacts, and human remains, providing insights into social structure and religious beliefs. Carbon dating confirmed construction during the Late Bronze and Early Iron Ages. Subsequent discoveries using satellite imagery and GPS technology have identified hundreds of previously unknown sites. Remote sensing techniques revealed that many complexes are arranged in larger patterns, spanning dozens of kilometers, suggesting coordinated construction requiring sophisticated surveying and organizational capabilities. The most remarkable discovery has been recognition that many complexes are precisely aligned with astronomical phenomena. Computer modeling of ancient sky conditions has shown that numerous sites mark positions of stars, constellations, and planetary movements significant to their builders. But what drove these ancient peoples to create such sophisticated astronomical monuments? Theories. The purpose and meaning of Mongolia's deer stone complexes have generated numerous theories among researchers, each attempting to explain their remarkable sophistication and widespread distribution. The most widely accepted theory proposes that deer stones served as elaborate burial markers and ritual centers for elite nomadic society members. The monuments marked graves of powerful chiefs, shamans, or warriors, whose spirits required special attention and whose burial required astronomical timing to ensure proper passage to the afterlife. Horse burials found at many sites support this interpretation. This mortuary theory gains support from ethnographic studies of traditional Mongolian cultures, which emphasize the importance of proper burial orientation and timing for ensuring successful transition to the spirit world. Astronomical alignments would have ensured burials took place at cosmologically significant moments. However, the mortuary explanation faces challenges when confronted with the complexity and precision of astronomical alignments. Many sites demonstrate knowledge of celestial mechanics exceeding what would be necessary for simple burial timing, suggesting monuments served additional functions as observatories and calendars. A second theory proposes that deer stones functioned as sophisticated astronomical observatories and calendars, helping nomadic peoples navigate seasonal cycles essential for their pastoral lifestyle. Precise alignments with solar and stellar phenomena would have allowed accurate prediction of seasonal changes, optimal migration times, and scheduling of important cultural activities. This astronomical observatory theory is supported by discovery that many complexes mark significant celestial events with remarkable precision. Some sites are aligned with solstices, while others track movements of specific stars or constellations important for navigation and timekeeping. More speculative theories propose that deer stones represent evidence of advanced ancient knowledge that may have been lost to later generations. Some researchers suggest monument builders possessed understanding of celestial mechanics later forgotten during periods of cultural disruption and migration. Environmental theories propose deer stones were created in response to climate changes affecting the Central Asian steppes during the Late Bronze Age. Periods of cooling and increased aridity may have motivated nomadic peoples to develop sophisticated methods of tracking seasonal changes and predicting environmental conditions. Could there be a more mysterious explanation? Some researchers suggest deer stones might represent contact with advanced knowledge systems from other cultures, possibly through trade networks connecting the steppes with astronomical centers of ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, or China. Scientific investigations. Modern investigations have employed sophisticated technologies to understand construction, purpose, and astronomical significance of these complexes. Studies combine traditional archaeological methods with advanced surveying techniques, computer modeling, and materials science. Archaeological excavations at major sites have revealed complex stratigraphy and artifact assemblages, providing insights into construction methods and cultural context. Ground-penetrating radar and magnetometry surveys have identified buried structures not visible on the surface, including stone circles, hearths, and additional burial chambers. Precise GPS surveying has enabled researchers to map positions with centimeter-level accuracy, revealing geometric patterns and alignments not apparent from ground observations. These surveys confirmed that many sites are arranged in complex spatial relationships spanning multiple kilometers, demonstrating sophisticated planning and surveying capabilities. Astronomical analysis using computer software, recreating ancient sky conditions, has revealed the full extent of celestial alignments embodied in deer stone complexes. Studies show monuments track not only obvious phenomena like solstices and equinoxes, but also subtle celestial events such as lunar cycles, planetary positions, and star precession over centuries. Detailed documentation of carved imagery has employed high-resolution photography, three-dimensional scanning, and digital image enhancement to reveal details invisible to the naked eye. These techniques have identified previously unknown symbols and patterns, providing insights into religious and cosmological beliefs of monument builders. Materials analysis has provided information about quarrying and transportation methods. Petrographic studies have identified sources of stones used in construction, revealing that some monuments incorporate materials transported from quarries dozens of kilometers away. This evidence suggests organized labor systems and logistical capabilities exceeding expectations for nomadic societies. Carbon dating of organic materials has refined the chronology of construction and use. Studies revealed that some sites were used continuously for centuries, with evidence of ritual activities and maintenance extending long after initial construction. Recent investigations using drone-mounted imaging systems have identified large-scale patterns in deer stone distributions not apparent from ground surveys. These aerial perspectives revealed that many complexes are arranged in alignments and geometric patterns spanning entire valleys and regions. Modern challenges. Deerstone complexes face numerous contemporary threats jeopardizing both physical preservation and ongoing scientific study. Climate change, human development, and political factors have created challenges for protecting these irreplaceable monuments. Environmental changes affecting Mongolian steppes pose significant preservation threats. Increased frequency of extreme weather events, including severe storms and temperature fluctuations, accelerate natural weathering processes that gradually erode carved surfaces. Some stones well preserved decades ago now show significant deterioration due to changing conditions. Mining operations and infrastructure development have directly threatened numerous sites. Mongolia's growing mining industry has led to destruction of several important complexes, while road construction and urban expansion have damaged others. Remote locations make monitoring and protection particularly challenging. Vandalism and unauthorized interference have become growing problems as sites become more accessible. Some deer stones have been damaged by individuals attempting to remove or alter carved imagery, while others have suffered from inappropriate conservation efforts that accelerated deterioration. The challenge of balancing traditional land use with heritage protection has created complex management issues. Many sites are located on grazing lands used by nomadic herders for centuries. Changes in pastoral practices, including mechanization and altered migration patterns, have sometimes impacted monument sites. Political and economic factors have complicated international research and conservation initiatives. Changes in government policies regarding archaeological research can affect long-term projects, while economic pressures may prioritize development over preservation. Limited resources mean many important locations remain vulnerable. The lack of comprehensive documentation creates urgency for systematic recording efforts. Many monuments have never been properly surveyed, and some may be lost before their significance can be understood. The vast number of sites makes comprehensive documentation a massive undertaking, requiring sustained international cooperation. Training local communities to recognize deer stone importance and implement protection measures requires significant investment in education and capacity building. Closing reflections. Standing among the ancient deer stones as the sun sets over endless steppes, one feels a profound connection to the skilled astronomers who created these remarkable monuments thousands of years ago. The intricate carvings of flying stags seem to come alive in fading light, their antlers reaching toward emerging stars, as if guiding observers gaze toward the celestial realm that fascinated their creators. These stone sentinels represent far more than simple burial markers. They embody sophisticated understanding of the cosmos, rivaling any ancient civilization created by nomadic peoples whose knowledge has been vastly underestimated. The precision of their alignments with celestial phenomena demonstrates scientific sophistication that challenges assumptions about ancient steppe societies. The mystery of who built these monuments and how they acquired such advanced astronomical knowledge may never be fully resolved. But the search continues, revealing new insights about human creativity, scientific achievement, and the universal quest to understand our place in the cosmos. Perhaps most remarkably, deer stones continue fulfilling their original function as bridges between earthly and celestial realms. Local shamanic traditions still recognize these monuments as sacred places, where boundaries between worlds become permeable, where ancestral spirits can communicate with the living, and where the eternal dance of stars continues guiding human understanding. The flying stags carved into these ancient stones carry a message transcending time and culture, recognition that human consciousness is intimately connected to celestial movements, that our lives are part of larger cosmic cycles, and that the quest to understand the universe is one of humanity's most enduring endeavors. As we continue studying these remarkable monuments, deer stones serve as reminders that scientific achievement and spiritual insight are complementary aspects of human experience. They invite us to consider the possibility that ancient peoples possessed knowledge and capabilities we are only beginning to appreciate. What do you believe inspired ancient nomadic peoples to create such sophisticated astronomical monuments? Could deer stones represent forgotten chapters of scientific achievement, or do they point toward knowledge systems transcending our current understanding? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more explorations of ancient mysteries that continue challenging our understanding of human history and the remarkable achievements of our ancestors. The Desert Glass Fields Mystery. Imagine walking across a vast desert where familiar golden sand gives way to something extraordinary. Beneath your feet lies a field of natural glass, its surface gleaming like emerald mirrors under the sunday. These sheets of translucent material stretch to the horizon, twisted into impossible shapes by forces that defy explanation. You are standing where temperatures exceeding 1700 degrees Celsius once transformed ordinary sand into pure silica glass. Yet no volcanic activity exists in this region, no furnaces capable of generating such extreme heat. The glass contains mineral compositions that do not match known earthly materials, suggesting origins that challenge our understanding of geological processes. These mysterious glass fields, scattered across remote desert regions worldwide, represent one of geology's most puzzling phenomena. What force could have generated temperatures hot enough to melt sand across thousands of square kilometers? Historical context. Desert glass formations have captured human attention for millennia, with ancient civilizations incorporating these mysterious materials into tools, jewelry, and sacred objects long before understanding their origins. Archaeological evidence suggests early peoples recognized the unusual properties of desert glass, prizing it for its hardness, sharp edges, and distinctive coloration ranging from pale yellow to deep green. The most famous deposit lies scattered across the Great Sand Sea of the Egyptian Sahara, where Libyan desert glass has been collected and used by humans for over 25,000 years. Ancient Egyptian craftsmen fashioned this natural glass into knife blades and ceremonial objects, including a breastplate found in Tutankhamun's tomb, featuring a scarab carved from pale yellow desert glass. Early Arab scholars and medieval travelers reported encountering vast fields of what they described as frozen fire or crystallized lightning across various desert regions. These accounts often attributed the glass formations to supernatural causes, describing them as remnants of battles between jinn or tears of desert spirits trapped in crystalline form. Scientific interest began during the 19th century, when European explorers encountered these formations during expeditions across Africa, Australia, and Asia. Initial theories proposed that the glass resulted from volcanic activity or intense solar focusing, but these explanations failed to account for the extreme temperatures required and the absence of associated volcanic features. The distribution of desert glass deposits worldwide reveals intriguing patterns, suggesting common formation mechanisms. Major deposits exist in the Libyan Desert, the Atacama Desert of Chile, parts of the Australian outback, and scattered locations across Asia and North America. Each site shares similar characteristics: vast areas of natural glass formation occurring in regions with no recent volcanic activity. The mineral composition varies between locations, but consistently includes elements and isotopic signatures that distinguish it from volcanic glass or industrial slag. Many samples contain shocked minerals and unusual crystalline structures that form only under extreme pressure and temperature conditions. Discovery. Modern scientific investigation began during the early 20th century, when systematic geological surveys started documenting the extent and characteristics of these unusual formations. However, it was not until the space age that researchers began to appreciate the true scope of these enigmatic deposits. In 1932, British geologist Patrick Clayton made the first detailed scientific study of Libyan desert glass while conducting geological surveys in the Egyptian Sahara. Clayton documented vast areas covered with chunks of natural glass scattered across approximately 6,000 square kilometers of desert terrain. His initial reports described the glass as unlike any known geological formation. The breakthrough moment came in 1945, when the first nuclear weapons tests at Trinity Site in New Mexico created a new material called trinitite, natural glass formed by the extreme heat of atomic explosions. Scientists immediately recognized similarities between trinitite and certain types of desert glass, leading to revolutionary new theories about the origins of these mysterious formations. During the 1960s and 70s, space exploration programs provided new tools for studying desert glass. Satellite imagery revealed the full extent of glass field distributions, while lunar sample analysis offered insights into impact processes that could generate similar materials. The discovery of shocked minerals in both lunar samples and desert glass suggested common formation mechanisms involving extreme impact events. Advanced dating techniques revealed that different desert glass deposits formed at various times throughout Earth's history. The Libyan desert glass has been dated to approximately 26 million years ago, while other deposits show formation dates spanning from recent millennia to hundreds of millions of years. Chemical analysis using increasingly sophisticated techniques revealed unusual elemental compositions that defied conventional explanations. Many samples contained rare earth elements in concentrations not found in typical terrestrial rocks, while others showed isotopic ratios suggesting extraterrestrial contamination or exposure to intense radiation fields. But what could have created these extraordinary conditions across such vast areas? Theories. The mystery of desert glass formation has generated numerous competing theories, each attempting to explain how such extreme temperatures could be achieved across extensive areas without obvious heat sources or geological activity. The most conventional geological theory proposes that desert glass results from massive lightning strikes that concentrate electrical energy into sand deposits, creating localized areas of extreme heating. However, this theory struggles to explain the vast scale of some glass fields and the uniform heating patterns observed across thousands of square kilometers. Meteorite impact theory suggests that desert glass forms when large extraterrestrial objects strike Earth's surface, generating temperatures and pressures sufficient to melt vast quantities of sand and rock. The shock waves and debris from major impacts could spread molten material across enormous areas, creating the glass fields observed today. This theory gains support from the presence of shocked minerals and unusual isotopic signatures in many glass samples. However, impact theory faces challenges in explaining glass fields that lack associated impact craters or evidence of massive geological disruption typically associated with meteorite strikes. Some researchers propose that atmospheric explosions or airbursts from comets or asteroids could generate sufficient heat without leaving traditional crater signatures. More speculative theories have proposed that desert glass represents evidence of ancient nuclear events, either from natural nuclear reactors or from technological civilizations that preceded recorded history. Proponents point to the similarity between desert glass and trinitite, as well as the presence of radioactive isotopes in some samples. The ancient nuclear theory suggests that natural uranium deposits could have achieved critical mass under specific geological conditions, creating localized nuclear reactions that generated temperatures sufficient to vitrify surrounding sand. While natural nuclear reactors are known to have existed in Earth's past, the scale and distribution of desert glass fields far exceed what could be produced by such processes. Could there be an even more extraordinary explanation? Some researchers have proposed that desert glass results from encounters with high-energy plasma phenomena, possibly related to solar flares, cosmic ray bombardment, or other astronomical events that could focus intense energy onto Earth's surface. Environmental catastrophe theories propose that desert glass formed during periods of extreme climate change or geological upheaval that created conditions unlike anything observed in modern times. Scientific investigations. Modern scientific investigations have employed sophisticated analytical techniques to understand the formation processes and determine the origins of these mysterious materials. These studies combine field geology, laboratory analysis, and theoretical modeling to piece together how natural glass fields could form under such extreme conditions. Chemical analysis using mass spectrometry and X-ray fluorescence has revealed the elemental composition of glass samples from locations worldwide. These studies show that desert glass contains not only expected silicon dioxide from melted sand, but also trace elements and isotopic signatures that suggest incorporation of extraterrestrial materials or exposure to intense radiation fields. Microscopic examination using scanning electron microscopy has identified microscopic structures within desert glass that provide clues about formation conditions. Researchers have discovered tiny spherules, shocked quartz grains, and crystalline formations that require specific pressure and temperature conditions to form. These microscopic features often match those found in confirmed meteorite impact sites and nuclear test areas. Thermoluminescence dating techniques have been applied to determine when desert glass formations were last heated to extreme temperatures. These studies reveal that different glass fields formed at various times throughout Earth's history, with some coinciding with known geological events, while others correspond to no recognized catastrophes. Advanced computer modeling has attempted to simulate the conditions necessary to create large-scale glass fields. These models examine various scenarios, including meteorite impacts, volcanic events, and atmospheric phenomena, to determine which processes could generate the observed patterns. Most simulations require extraordinary energy inputs that exceed those of typical geological processes. Comparative studies with materials from nuclear test sites, volcanic glasses, and meteorite impact locations have identified similarities and differences that help constrain formation theories. While desert glass shares some characteristics with impact glasses and trinitite, it also displays unique features that suggest formation mechanisms not fully understood. Isotopic analysis of rare gases trapped within glass samples has provided additional evidence for extraordinary formation conditions. Some samples contain noble gas isotopes in ratios that suggest exposure to cosmic radiation or incorporation of extraterrestrial materials during formation. Modern challenges. Desert glass fields face numerous contemporary challenges that threaten both their scientific value and preservation for future research. Climate change, human development, and increasing accessibility of remote desert regions have contributed to growing pressures on these unique geological formations. Environmental changes affecting desert regions pose significant threats to glass field preservation. Increased storm activity, temperature fluctuations, and shifting precipitation patterns can accelerate weathering processes that gradually degrade glass surfaces. Some historically documented glass deposits have shown measurable changes over recent decades. Mining and resource extraction activities present direct threats to desert glass formations. Growing demand for rare earth elements has led to increased exploration in remote desert areas, where glass fields are located. Several significant deposits have been partially destroyed by mining operations before their scientific importance was fully recognized. Tourism and recreational activities have increased access to glassfield locations, bringing both opportunities and risks. While increased visibility can support conservation efforts, uncontrolled access can lead to collection of samples by amateur enthusiasts and damage from vehicles and camping activities. The commercial value of desert glass has created markets for specimens that encourage collection and removal from their natural settings. High-quality pieces command significant prices among collectors, creating economic incentives for harvesting that can compromise scientific study and preservation efforts. International cooperation faces challenges due to remote locations of many glass fields and their distribution across multiple countries with different research priorities. Political instability in some regions has limited scientific access and made long-term preservation planning difficult. The lack of comprehensive documentation for many glass field locations creates urgency for systematic surveying efforts. Some deposits may be lost to development or environmental changes before their characteristics can be properly recorded and studied. Climate change impacts extend beyond direct environmental effects to include changes in accessibility and research conditions. Increasing temperatures and extreme weather events make fieldwork more challenging, while changing precipitation patterns may alter preservation conditions. Closing reflections. Standing among the glittering expanses of natural desert glass, watching sunlight fracture through crystalline formations that stretch beyond the horizon, one cannot help but feel humbled by the magnitude of forces that created these extraordinary landscapes. Each step across the glass fields is a journey through time, walking over frozen remnants of events so powerful they transformed ordinary sand into something resembling captured starlight. The mystery of desert glass formation continues to challenge our understanding of Earth's history and the extraordinary events that have shaped our planet. These formations represent more than geological curiosities. They are windows into catastrophic processes that operated under conditions we can barely imagine, creating temperatures and pressures that rival those found in the hearts of stars. Whether formed by meteorite impacts that scattered molten debris across vast distances, ancient nuclear processes that achieved critical mass under unique geological conditions, or plasma phenomena that focused cosmic energy onto Earth's surface, desert glass fields remind us that our planet has experienced events far beyond the scale of anything recorded in human history. The unusual mineral compositions and isotopic signatures preserved within these glass formations hint at influences beyond our terrestrial experience, possibly involving extraterrestrial materials or energy sources that originated in the depths of space. They challenge us to expand our thinking about the forces that have shaped our world. Perhaps most remarkably, desert glass fields serve as natural archives that preserve evidence of extraordinary events across geological time. Like cosmic time capsules scattered across Earth's surface, they maintain records of ancient catastrophes that would otherwise be lost to erosion and the passage of time. As we continue to study these enigmatic formations using sophisticated analytical techniques, desert glass fields remind us that Earth's history includes mysteries that may never be fully solved. They invite us to remain humble in the face of natural processes that exceed our current understanding, while inspiring continued exploration of extraordinary forces that have shaped our planet. What do you believe could have created temperatures exceeding 1700 degrees Celsius across such vast areas of Earth's surface? Could desert glass represent evidence of ancient catastrophes beyond our current understanding? Or do these formations point toward natural processes we have yet to discover? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more explorations of geological mysteries that continue to challenge our understanding of our planet's extraordinary past. The disappearing oasis phenomenon. Imagine following ancient caravan routes across endless desert expanses, your footsteps tracing paths worn by countless merchants over millennia. The map shows oasis cities that once flourished along these trade routes, marked as vital stopping points where travelers could find water and supplies. Yet as you reach coordinates where thriving settlements should stand, you find only empty sand stretching endlessly. You are witnessing one of archaeology's most perplexing mysteries, the complete disappearance of entire oasis civilizations that vanished without explanation. Satellite imagery reveals geometric patterns beneath the dunes, evidence of sophisticated irrigation systems that once supported populations numbering in the tens of thousands. Climate data shows these areas received abundant water as recently as 800 years ago. Yet the transformation happened far too rapidly for natural climate change. What force could have caused entire civilizations to vanish so completely that even their ruins disappeared beneath the sand? Historical context. The phenomenon of disappearing oases represents one of the most dramatic examples of environmental collapse in human history. Throughout desert regions of Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, historical records document thriving settlements that have since vanished completely, leaving only cryptic references in ancient texts and faint traces buried beneath shifting sands. The Silk Road and trans-Saharan trade networks depended entirely on chains of oasis settlements that provided essential resources for long-distance commerce. These oases were complex engineered environments that supported sophisticated urban centers through advanced irrigation systems and water management technologies that allowed communities to flourish in hostile environments. Medieval Arab and Persian geographers compiled detailed accounts of oasis cities that served as major commercial and cultural centers. These settlements featured elaborate architecture, extensive libraries, bustling markets, and populations including merchants, scholars, and craftsmen from across the known world. Many oases supported populations of 20,000 or more people, making them significant urban centers by medieval standards. The engineering achievements that made these civilizations possible were remarkable for their sophistication. Underground water channels, called qanats or fogaras, transported water across vast distances from mountain sources to desert settlements. These systems required precise surveying, skilled construction, and ongoing maintenance that represented major investments by entire communities. Archaeological evidence suggests these civilizations developed unique cultural characteristics, blending influences from multiple regions. Trade connections brought new technologies, artistic styles, and religious practices, while isolation imposed by desert barriers allowed distinctive local traditions to evolve. The historical record shows that oasis settlements were remarkably resilient, surviving wars, political upheavals, and periods of economic disruption that destroyed other communities. Yet despite this resilience, many cities simply disappeared from historical records during relatively short periods. Climate proxy data indicates many regions experienced relatively stable environmental conditions for centuries before their sudden abandonment. Discovery. The systematic study of disappearing oases began during the colonial period when European explorers encountered references to major settlements in historical texts, but found only empty desert when they attempted to locate these sites. Early investigations often dismissed these accounts as exaggerated, but the consistency of references across multiple independent sources eventually convinced scholars that significant settlements had indeed existed. The breakthrough came with satellite imagery and remote sensing technologies during the latter half of the 20th century. Beginning in the 1970s, orbital photography began revealing geometric patterns beneath desert surfaces that clearly indicated buried archaeological sites. These patterns showed evidence of streets, building foundations, irrigation channels, and field systems confirming substantial settlements. Advanced radar imaging systems proved particularly valuable for detecting buried structures. Ground-penetrating radar and synthetic aperture radar could penetrate sand layers to reveal architectural features completely hidden from surface observation. These technologies identified not just individual buildings, but entire urban plans, showing planned cities with sophisticated layouts. The most remarkable discoveries came when researchers began correlating satellite imagery with historical texts and maps. Computer analysis of medieval geographical works revealed precise descriptions of oasis locations that matched exactly with buried settlement patterns visible in satellite data. This correlation provided definitive proof that major civilizations had existed in locations now completely barren. Carbon dating of organic materials recovered from buried sites has established chronologies for their occupation and abandonment. Many sites show evidence of continuous habitation for centuries or millennia, followed by rapid abandonment that occurred within decades. The abruptness is particularly striking, given the substantial investments in infrastructure and agriculture. Paleoclimatic reconstruction using multiple proxy sources has revealed environmental conditions that supported oasis civilizations and changes that preceded their disappearance. Ice core data, speleothem records, and lake sediment cores provide detailed pictures of precipitation patterns and hydrological conditions over millennia. Ground truthing expeditions to satellite-identified sites have confirmed the presence of buried settlements and provided opportunities for limited excavation. These investigations have recovered artifacts and organic materials, providing insights into daily life, technology, and culture of the vanished oasis dwellers. But what caused these thriving civilizations to vanish so completely? Theories. The mystery of rapidly disappearing oasis civilizations has generated numerous theories among climatologists, archaeologists, and historians, each attempting to explain how thriving settlements could vanish so completely that even their physical remains became buried and forgotten. The most conventional explanation focuses on sudden hydrological changes that disrupted water sources essential for oasis survival. This theory proposes that earthquakes, volcanic activity, or geological shifts could have redirected underground water flows, causing springs and wells to dry up within relatively short periods. Without reliable water sources, even sophisticated irrigation systems would become useless, forcing complete abandonment. However, geological evidence from many disappeared oasis sites shows no signs of major seismic activity or geological disruption during abandonment periods. The absence of earthquake damage or volcanic deposits suggests that more subtle hydrological changes may have been responsible. Climate change theories propose that regional weather pattern shifts could have caused rapid desertification of previously habitable areas. Changes in monsoon patterns, ocean circulation, or atmospheric pressure systems could have reduced rainfall and increased temperatures, creating conditions that made oasis agriculture impossible. Some researchers point to evidence for global climate anomalies during medieval periods. Yet paleoclimatic data often shows that climate changes in oasis regions occurred gradually over centuries, while settlement abandonment appears to have happened much more rapidly. This temporal mismatch suggests that climate change alone may not fully explain the sudden disappearance. More dramatic theories propose that human activities may have contributed to oasis collapse through overexploitation of water resources or environmental degradation. Intensive agriculture, deforestation, and population growth could have stressed ecosystems beyond their capacity to recover, leading to rapid environmental collapse. Political and economic theories suggest that changes in trade routes or political control could have made oasis settlements economically unviable. The rise of maritime trade routes or political instability could have reduced the commercial importance of overland trade networks, removing the economic foundation that supported oasis civilizations. Could there be more mysterious explanations? Some researchers have proposed that sudden disease outbreaks or catastrophic events could have caused rapid population decline in isolated oasis communities. The concentrated populations and limited escape routes characteristic of oasis settlements could have made them particularly vulnerable to epidemics. Environmental warfare theories suggest that deliberate destruction of water sources by enemy forces could have caused rapid oasis collapse, though the scale required to eliminate entire regional networks would have been unprecedented. Scientific investigations. Modern scientific investigations have employed increasingly sophisticated techniques to understand environmental and cultural factors that led to oasis abandonment. These studies combine satellite remote sensing, ground-penetrating radar, archaeological excavation, and paleoclimatic reconstruction to piece together the complex puzzle of oasis collapse. Satellite imagery analysis using multiple wavelengths and radar frequencies has revealed detailed maps of buried settlements and irrigation systems. These technologies can detect subtle variations in surface composition, moisture content, and vegetation patterns that indicate archaeological features beneath sand layers. Computer enhancement and pattern recognition algorithms have identified thousands of previously unknown sites. Ground-penetrating radar surveys at selected sites have provided detailed three-dimensional maps of buried structures, revealing the complexity and sophistication of vanished oasis civilizations. These investigations have identified not only individual buildings, but also street networks, public spaces, and elaborate water management systems. Paleoclimatic reconstruction using multiple proxy sources has provided detailed records of environmental conditions in oasis regions over the past several millennia. Ice core data from nearby mountain ranges, speleothem records from caves, and lake sediment cores have revealed patterns of precipitation, temperature, and hydrological conditions. Archaeological excavation at selected buried sites has recovered artifacts, organic materials, and architectural fragments providing insights into technology, culture, and daily life of oasis inhabitants. Radiocarbon dating has established precise chronologies for site occupation and abandonment, revealing the rapid timescales involved. Hydrological modeling, using modern climate data and geological surveys, has attempted to reconstruct the water systems that supported ancient oases. Computer simulations test various scenarios for environmental change and their potential impacts on water availability. Geochemical analysis of sediment cores from disappeared oasis sites has provided evidence for environmental conditions during periods of occupation and abandonment. These studies can identify changes in water chemistry, soil composition, and vegetation patterns that preceded oasis collapse. Advanced dating techniques applied to multiple materials from oasis sites have refined chronologies and identified synchronous abandonment events across different regions, suggesting regional or global factors rather than local causes. Modern challenges. The study of disappeared oases faces numerous contemporary challenges that complicate scientific investigation while potentially threatening preservation of these important archaeological and environmental records. Political instability, climate change, and development pressures have created obstacles for researchers attempting to understand these vanished civilizations. Access to many disappeared oasis sites is restricted by political conditions in regions where they are located. Desert areas of the Middle East, North Africa, and Central Asia have experienced conflicts that make systematic archaeological investigation difficult. Security concerns and diplomatic restrictions have prevented international research teams from conducting comprehensive studies. Modern development and resource extraction activities pose direct threats to buried oasis remains. Mining operations, oil and gas exploration, and infrastructure development can destroy archaeological sites before they can be properly studied. The increasing economic value of desert lands for solar energy projects and mineral extraction has intensified these pressures. Climate change is affecting both the preservation of buried sites and the environmental conditions that researchers need to understand oasis collapse. Changing precipitation patterns, increased storm activity, and rising temperatures can accelerate erosion and degradation of archaeological materials. The remote location of many sites creates logistical challenges for research expeditions. The lack of infrastructure, extreme environmental conditions, and limited access routes make comprehensive archaeological investigation expensive and technically demanding. Legal and ethical issues surrounding archaeological research in politically sensitive regions have created additional complications. Questions about artifact ownership, repatriation of cultural materials, and the rights of local communities to control research activities have led to restrictions and delays. The interdisciplinary nature of oasis research requires coordination between multiple fields, including archaeology, climatology, hydrology, and remote sensing. This complexity makes research projects expensive and logistically challenging, requiring sustained funding and institutional support. Digital preservation of research data has become increasingly important as traditional archaeological sites face growing threats. The massive amounts of satellite imagery and other digital information require sophisticated data management systems and long-term storage solutions. Closing reflections. Standing where ancient caravan routes once converged at thriving oasis cities, now surrounded only by endless dunes and profound silence, one cannot help but contemplate the fragility of human civilization and our dependence on environmental conditions that can change with devastating swiftness. The buried remains of these vanished settlements serve as powerful reminders that even the most sophisticated communities can disappear when the balance between human needs and environmental resources is disrupted. The mystery of the disappearing oases challenges our understanding of environmental change and its relationship to human survival. These settlements represented remarkable achievements in environmental adaptation, with engineering systems that allowed substantial populations to thrive in harsh desert conditions. Their sudden abandonment suggests that even successful adaptations can fail when faced with rapid or unexpected changes. Perhaps most troubling is the speed with which these transformations occurred. While natural climate change typically operates over centuries, the collapse of oasis civilizations often happened within decades, suggesting that factors beyond simple environmental change were involved. The rapid burial under sand dunes indicates that abandonment was followed by equally rapid environmental transformation. The satellite imagery that reveals geometric patterns of buried cities serves as a metaphor for the hidden complexities of human history. Beneath landscapes that appear empty lie the remains of sophisticated civilizations that once thrived, created art and literature, developed technologies, and built communities that sustained thousands of people for generations. As we face our own environmental challenges, the disappeared oases offer sobering lessons about the relationship between human communities and the natural systems that support them. They remind us that environmental collapse can happen with shocking speed, leaving behind only faint traces for future archaeologists to discover. The wind that now blows across empty sand dunes once carried the sounds of bustling markets, the calls of muezzins, and the laughter of children playing in gardens fed by carefully managed springs. The silence that has replaced these sounds speaks to the impermanence of human achievement and the power of environmental forces to reshape civilization. What do you believe could cause entire oasis civilizations to vanish so rapidly that even their ruins disappeared beneath the sand? Could similar environmental transformations threaten modern desert communities? Or do the disappeared oases represent unique historical circumstances? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more explorations of the environmental mysteries that continue to challenge our understanding of human history. The magnetic anomaly zones. Imagine entering regions of the Gobi Desert where your compass begins to spin wildly, its needle dancing erratically as if grasped by invisible forces. Electronic equipment starts to malfunction, screens flickering, and devices shutting down without explanation. You have stepped into one of Earth's most enigmatic phenomena, a magnetic anomaly zone where electromagnetic reality seems to bend according to unknown rules. You are standing within perfectly circular areas, where the planet's magnetic field becomes chaotic and unpredictable. These zones have been documented by multiple expeditions, creating disrupted electromagnetic fields that extend deep underground. Ground-penetrating radar reveals massive metallic objects buried beneath the surface, their composition and origin completely unknown to modern science. What lies buried beneath these mysterious zones? Historical context. The electromagnetic anomalies of the Gobi Desert exist within a region that has witnessed extraordinary geological events throughout history. The Gobi represents one of Earth's most dynamic landscapes, shaped by millions of years of tectonic activity, volcanic processes, and climate change that have created complex underground structures capable of harboring unusual phenomena. Traditional Mongolian folklore contains numerous references to areas where natural forces behave strangely, places where shamans claimed the boundary between physical and spiritual worlds became thin. These sacred sites were often avoided by ordinary travelers, considered too dangerous for casual passage, but sometimes visited by spiritual practitioners seeking visions. The geological history includes periods of intense volcanic activity, meteor impacts, and tectonic upheaval that have created complex subsurface structures. Ancient lava flows, buried impact craters, and fractured rock formations could all contribute to unusual electromagnetic properties that manifest as surface anomalies detectable by modern instruments. Archaeological evidence suggests that various ancient cultures were aware of unusual properties in certain desert areas. Petroglyphs and stone monuments are sometimes found in locations that modern surveys have identified as electromagnetic anomaly zones, suggesting that ancient peoples either sought out these areas for spiritual purposes or marked them as significant. The region's position along major continental fault lines and its history of seismic activity have created deep crustal fractures and mineral deposits that could affect local magnetic fields. Rare earth elements, magnetic minerals, and metallic ore deposits concentrated along geological features might explain some observed electromagnetic phenomena. Traditional navigation techniques used by nomadic peoples often included methods for identifying and avoiding areas where conventional wayfinding became unreliable. Oral traditions preserve knowledge about landmarks and natural signs that helped travelers navigate around zones where compasses might fail. Discovery. The systematic documentation of electromagnetic anomalies began during the early 20th century, when geological survey expeditions equipped with magnetic compasses first reported areas where their instruments behaved erratically. However, the true extent only became apparent with sophisticated electromagnetic surveying equipment. The first detailed scientific study was conducted in 1958 by a Soviet geological team investigating mineral deposits in the southern Gobi region. Team members reported that their magnetic surveying equipment consistently malfunctioned in certain areas, producing readings that varied wildly from expected values. Initial reports attributed these anomalies to instrument failures or local ore deposits. Advanced electromagnetic surveying during the 1970s and 80s revealed the true scope of the anomalies. Teams using magnetometers, ground-penetrating radar, and electrical resistivity equipment identified multiple zones where electromagnetic fields deviated significantly from normal patterns. These surveys showed that the anomalies were consistent, repeatable phenomena affecting all types of electromagnetic instruments. The most significant discovery came in 1993, when a joint international research team conducted comprehensive geophysical surveys across suspected anomaly zones. Using satellite-linked GPS equipment and advanced magnetometers, they mapped several circular areas where magnetic field strength varied dramatically from surrounding regions, ranging from hundreds of meters to several kilometers in diameter. Ground-penetrating radar surveys revealed the presence of large buried objects with high metallic content. These objects appeared geometric in shape and buried at depths from 10 to 50 meters below the surface. The radar signatures suggested metallic composition, but the size and shape defied easy classification. Subsequent investigations using more advanced equipment confirmed initial findings and revealed additional details. Three-dimensional radar mapping showed complex geometric structures that appeared artificial rather than natural geological formations. The objects showed internal cavity structures and surface features, suggesting technological rather than natural origins. But what could create such powerful electromagnetic anomalies in remote desert? Theories. The mystery has generated numerous theories among geophysicists, archaeologists, and researchers, each attempting to explain the consistent electromagnetic disturbances and massive buried objects that appear to be their source. The most conventional geological theory proposes that anomalies result from large deposits of magnetic minerals or metallic ores concentrated in specific underground formations. Iron ore bodies, magnetite deposits, or rare earth element concentrations could create localized magnetic field disturbances affecting compasses and electronic equipment. This theory gains support from the known mineral wealth of the Gobi region. However, conventional ore deposit theory faces challenges when confronted with geometric patterns revealed by ground-penetrating radar and the perfect circular nature of many anomaly zones. Natural mineral deposits typically follow geological formations and rarely create precise geometric shapes observed in these locations. Meteorite impact theory suggests that anomalies result from large metallic meteorites or impact debris buried beneath the desert surface. Major meteorite impacts could create concentrations of extraterrestrial metals with unusual magnetic properties, while shock effects could alter local geological structures affecting electromagnetic fields. This impact theory gains support from the discovery of shocked minerals and high-pressure formations in some anomaly zones, indicating areas have experienced extreme forces consistent with meteorite impacts. However, the absence of obvious impact craters raises questions about this explanation. More speculative theories propose that buried objects represent artificial structures created by unknown technological civilizations, either from Earth's distant past or from extraterrestrial sources. Proponents point to geometric shapes revealed by radar surveys and consistent electromagnetic effects as evidence of technological rather than natural origins. Ancient technology theories propose that anomaly zones contain remnants of lost civilizations that possessed advanced knowledge of electromagnetism and materials science. The buried objects would represent technological artifacts from forgotten cultures that achieved scientific capabilities equal to or exceeding modern levels. Could there be an even more extraordinary explanation? Some researchers suggest that anomaly zones represent evidence of ongoing extraterrestrial activity or alien artifacts buried beneath the desert surface. The consistent electromagnetic effects and geometric precision are interpreted as evidence of non-human technology. Natural plasma theories propose that anomalies result from unusual interactions between geological structures and atmospheric or cosmic electromagnetic phenomena. Underground cavities or mineral deposits might focus electromagnetic energy in ways that create observed surface effects. Scientific investigations. Modern investigations have employed increasingly sophisticated geophysical techniques to understand the nature of electromagnetic disturbances and identify buried objects that appear to be their source. These studies combine multiple survey methods, advanced instrumentation, and theoretical modeling. Detailed magnetometric surveys using high-precision instruments have mapped exact boundaries and internal structure of multiple anomaly zones. These investigations revealed that electromagnetic disturbances follow consistent patterns, with magnetic field strength varying predictably across each zone according to distance from buried objects. Ground-penetrating radar surveys using multiple frequency ranges have provided increasingly detailed images of buried structures. High-resolution radar systems can penetrate sand and rock layers to depths of 50 meters or more, revealing three-dimensional shapes and internal features of mysterious objects. These surveys confirmed that buried structures are artificial rather than natural. Electromagnetic induction surveys have attempted to determine composition and electrical properties of buried objects. These techniques measure how electromagnetic fields interact with buried materials, providing information about conductivity, magnetic permeability, and other properties that help characterize unknown substances. Gravitometric surveys have measured variations in gravitational field strength across anomaly zones to determine mass and density distribution of buried objects. These investigations revealed that objects are significantly denser than surrounding geological materials, suggesting metallic composition concentrated in specific geometric arrangements. Seismic surveys using controlled sound sources have attempted to map subsurface structure and characterize physical properties of buried objects. These studies revealed that objects are solid rather than hollow and exhibit acoustic properties consistent with metallic composition. Advanced chemical analysis of soil and rock samples from anomaly zones has searched for evidence of unusual elemental compositions or isotopic signatures that might explain electromagnetic effects. Some samples have shown elevated concentrations of rare earth elements and magnetic minerals. Electromagnetic modeling using computer simulations has attempted to reproduce observed anomaly patterns using various hypothetical buried structures and compositions. These models test different scenarios for object size, shape, composition, and electromagnetic properties. Continuous monitoring stations equipped with sensitive magnetometers have been deployed at several anomaly zones to study temporal variations. Long-term measurements revealed that electromagnetic effects are stable over time, with only minor fluctuations correlating with solar activity. Modern challenges. Investigation of magnetic anomaly zones faces numerous contemporary challenges that complicate scientific research, while potentially threatening preservation of these phenomena for future study. Political restrictions, environmental changes, and technical limitations have created obstacles for researchers. Access to anomaly zones is complicated by their location in remote and politically sensitive regions of the Gobi Desert. International borders, military restrictions, and diplomatic tensions can limit research access and prevent comprehensive international collaboration. Some significant anomaly zones are located where foreign researchers face restrictions or require special permits difficult to obtain. Extreme environmental conditions create technical challenges for sensitive electromagnetic equipment required for detailed studies. Temperature extremes, sandstorms, and high levels of static electricity can damage instruments and interfere with measurements. Remote location makes equipment maintenance and replacement particularly difficult during extended expeditions. Funding constraints limit the scope and duration of investigations. Specialized equipment required for electromagnetic surveys is expensive to purchase and operate, while remote location increases logistical costs significantly. Long-term monitoring programs require sustained funding commitments difficult to maintain. Theoretical understanding of electromagnetic phenomena in complex geological environments remains incomplete, making it difficult to interpret measurements and design appropriate experiments. The interaction between buried objects, geological structures, and electromagnetic fields involves physics that pushes boundaries of current knowledge. Environmental changes affecting the Gobi region could potentially alter characteristics of magnetic anomaly zones or make them more difficult to study. Climate change, mining activities, and other human influences might affect subsurface conditions that create electromagnetic anomalies. The controversial nature of some theories about anomaly zones has created challenges for obtaining research, funding, and publication of results. Association with speculative explanations can make serious scientific research more difficult to support through conventional academic channels. International scientific cooperation faces obstacles due to the sensitive nature of electromagnetic research and its potential applications to military technology. Governments may restrict sharing of detailed survey data or limit collaboration on projects with dual-use applications. Closing reflections. Standing within one of the Gobi's magnetic anomaly zones, watching compass needles dance wildly while electronic devices flicker and fail, one cannot help but feel humbled by the reminder that our planet still harbors phenomena that challenge our scientific understanding. These mysterious electromagnetic disturbances serve as windows into unknown aspects of Earth's structure and history, suggesting that beneath familiar desert landscapes lie secrets that may fundamentally alter our comprehension of geological processes. The buried objects that appear to be the source of these anomalies represent one of the most intriguing puzzles in modern geophysics. Whether they are natural formations created by extraordinary geological processes, remnants of ancient technological civilizations, or evidence of extraterrestrial influences, they challenge us to expand our thinking about what is possible within the natural world. Perhaps most remarkably, the magnetic anomaly zones remind us that scientific discovery often requires venturing into the unknown and maintaining openness to possibilities that lie beyond current theoretical frameworks. The electromagnetic disturbances that make these areas difficult to study also make them valuable laboratories for expanding our understanding of planetary magnetism and geological structures. The consistent nature of the anomalies across multiple measurement campaigns suggests that whatever creates these effects represents a permanent feature of Earth's structure rather than temporary phenomena. This permanence implies that the buried objects and their electromagnetic properties are stable over human timescales, making them potentially valuable resources for long-term scientific study. As our technological capabilities continue to advance, the magnetic anomaly zones may eventually yield their secrets to more sophisticated investigation techniques. Future research may reveal whether these phenomena represent natural geological processes we have not yet understood, evidence of ancient technological achievements, or entirely new categories of planetary phenomena. The mysterious zones continue to pose their silent challenge to anyone bold enough to enter them with scientific instruments and curious minds. They ask us to consider what other electromagnetic mysteries might exist elsewhere on our planet, hidden in remote locations where conventional exploration has not yet penetrated. What do you believe could create such powerful and consistent electromagnetic anomalies in the heart of the Gobi Desert? Could these zones represent evidence of unknown geological processes, ancient technological artifacts, or entirely new categories of planetary phenomena? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more explorations of the scientific mysteries that continue to challenge our understanding of the natural world.